The divine sword is invincible. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. Go back and tell Wang Zhao. Liu Shuang laughed arrogantly. Yang Xiaoshan glanced at Liu Shuang. His eyes fell on the two doors that were blown away and said coldly, "Who blew it up?" Liu Shuang laughed. "I blew it up, Yang Xiaoshan. The door of your house is as rubbish as you. I haven't even used any strength, but it was blown up like this." His men all laughed. At this time, He Jianmu stepped forward and looked down at Yang Xiaoshan, as if looking at an ant on the ground. "Yang Xiaoshan, right? It was you who brought your men to break into the Xiandao Pharmacist Hall and injured all the pharmacists in the Xiandao Pharmacist Hall, and you also robbed a group of rare medicinal materials from the Xiandao Pharmacist Hall." Robbing a group of rare medicinal materials? Yang Xiaoshan glanced at Liu Shuang and Wang Fan, the master and apprentice, and said, "We injured the man, but I bought the herbs with real gold." Liu Shuang lost the bet and said that I could choose any herbs in Xiandao Medicine Hall. He Jian said coldly, "You are still trying to argue when you are about to die. Yang Xiaoshan, do you want to follow us back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall to be punished, or do you want us to do it? I advise you to follow us back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall and suffer less. If we do it, we will break your bones first and then take you back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall." Yang Xiaoshan glanced at He Jian and said, "Break my bones?" He shook his head and said, "I advise you to get out of my house now and then go back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. If you do it, it will be difficult for you to get out later." As soon as Yang Xiaoshan said this, all the masters in the medicine hall were in an uproar. Even Xian Miling and Tanglin, who were following behind, were stunned. Could it be that Yang Xiaoshan had lost his mind and was talking nonsense there? Dare to ask He Jianmu, He Jian and others to go back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall? Even the Emperor of Xiandao would not dare to ask He Jianmu and He Jian to go back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. After Liu Shuang was surprised, he sneered, "This Yang Xiaoshan, he was blind. He dared to ask He Jianmu and He Jian to go back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. He simply didn't know how to write the word death. Now, no one can save him." Wang Fan also looked at Yang Xiaoshan with gloating. It seems that Yang Xiaoshan doesn't need to be taken back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Maybe He Jianmu and He Jian will kill Yang Xiaoshan on the spot in a rage. Sure enough, when He Jian heard that Yang Xiaoshan, a little martial king, actually asked him to go back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, he was furious and suddenly grabbed Yang Xiaoshan's head with a claw. "I will destroy you now. Let's see who dares to stop me and who dares to protect you." If he grabbed this claw firmly, even if Yang Xiaoshan didn't die, his head would be scratched with 5 finger holes. The power of a claw from a martial master is enough to split mountains and crack the earth. Seeing He Jian reaching out to grab Yang Xiaoshan, Wookiee's face changed. Just as he was about to make a move, the sky, which was originally bright and sunny, suddenly darkened. A vast aura of a beast was like a raging wave, raging across the world. Everyone felt their breath choked and looked over in horror. They saw that a huge beast as big as a mountain had appeared behind Yang Xiaoshan. Seeing this huge beast standing there, like a dragon or a flood, with blood-red eyes like a small lake looking down at them, both Wang Fan and Liu Shuang trembled all over, their eyes horrified. "What is this?" Exclamation mark. A martial master? Or a martial emperor? Exclamation mark. In He Jian's frightened eyes, the Black Flood King's huge dragon claw, as big as a mountain, slapped down on his head. The terrifying power caused the airwaves in the space to explode. He Jian looked at the huge dragon claw that was falling down with a bang and roared in shock and anger. His whole body's true energy was running wildly, and amazing sword energy burst out. He used his 10 fingers as swords and suddenly blasted at the huge dragon claw that was falling. "Open it for me." 10 amazing sword energy pillars were formed and blasted at the huge dragon claw. He Jianmu also shouted loudly and also used his 10 fingers as swords and blasted out 10 amazing sword energy pillars, which blasted at the huge dragon claw of the Black Flood Dragon King. Seeing this, The Black Flood Dragon King snorted coldly, ignoring the opponent's sword energy pillars, and the mountain-like dragon claws continued to blast down. Collapse. He Giant's 10 sword energy pillars were blasted apart in an instant, and the dragon claws continued to blast down. When He Giant Moo's sword energy pillars blasted on the dragon claws, it seemed to blast on the dragon mountain, but it was actually shattered. Amidst the loud bang, He Giant was slammed into the ground by the dragon claws. That's not all. The black dragon claws continued to step down, directly stepping him deep into the ground. The sound of loud bangs continued. Everyone was terrified when they saw He Giant being trampled into the ground. They retreated in panic. Then, the huge tail of the Black Flood Dragon King swept over at a terrifying speed with destructive power. Wang Fan, Liu Shuang, He Giant Moo and other masters of the medicine hall were all swept away. No one could stop or resist the huge dragon tail. Wang Fan, Liu Shuang and He Giant Moo smashed through the walls and rolled onto the street outside the yard. Yang Xiaoshan didn't even look at He Giant, who was trampled into the deep pit, and walked towards Liu Shuang. Liu Shuang was swept by the tail of the Black Flood Dragon King. He felt that all the bones in his body were broken, and he vomited blood. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan, who was walking over with a terrified face and a weak and hoarse voice. Yang Xiaoshan, what do you want to do? Yang Xiaoshan didn't say anything and punched Liu Shuang in the belly. It was still the Shura power of the perfect realm. The Shura power was frantically destroying Liu Shuang's internal organs and his big belly. This punch almost made Liu Shuang vomit his liver. He covered his belly, tears streaming down his face in pain. Did I steal the herbs from your medicine hall? Yang Xiaoshan asked expressionlessly. Liu Shuang shook his head vigorously and said with all his strength, no. Yang Xiaoshan continued to punch Liu Shuang in the belly. This punch made Liu Shuang's eyes pop out, and the ground beneath him cracked directly. He was like a dead shrimp, bending his body, and he wanted to faint in pain but he couldn't. Yang Xiaoshan came to Wang Fan again. Wang Fan's face was horrified. Without saying a word, Yang Xiaoshan punched Wang Fan in the belly. It was still the perfect state Shura power. Then, another punch. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan used the same method to hit He Giant Moo and other masters of the medicine hall one by one, and each of them experienced the perfect state Shura power once or twice. Yang Xiaoshan's eyes finally fell on Qian Mealing and Tanglin. When the two beauties saw Yang Xiaoshan looking at them, they were so frightened that their pretty faces turned pale. They had just seen clearly that some of the masters of the medicine hall were incontinent after being hit by Yang Xiaoshan's 2 punches. If they were also hit by 2 punches, wouldn't it be the same? You two haven't left yet? Yang Xiaoshan said, then please ask someone to come and carry Liu Shuang in the other's back. When Qian Mealing and Tanglin heard about this, they nodded hurriedly. Only after Yang Xiaoshan left did they feel like they had survived a disaster. When Yang Xiaoshan passed by He Jian, he looked at He Jian lying on the ground and said, Wang Fan, Master Liu Shuang and his apprentice are the most powerful bullies in the Xiandao Imperial Medicine Hall. Not only did you not capture them and punish them, but you helped them to do evil. Go back and tell Wang Zhao that, if the Imperial Pharmacist Hall sends anyone here again, they will die. Chapter 177. It must be a rumor. Wang Zhao was Wang Fan's brother, the great elder of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. He Jian wanted to say something, but he fainted in the end. Soon, people from the medicine hall came and carried Wang Fan, Liu Shuang, He Jian Moo and others back. When they were carried back, they felt like they were fleeing and felt unstable. Of course, the people from the medicine hall also cleaned up the incontinence on the ground around them. In the inner courtyard of Xiandao Academy, He Kings, Jiuo Wei, Xiao Yang, Lin Xiao and others were stunned for a long time when they learned that He Jian Moo, He Jian and others were all carried back. Yang Xiaoshan subdued a dragon? Lin Xiao said with a chuckle. Yang Xiaoshan is also a beast master? Thinking back to the enrollment examination, he forced Yang Xiaoshan to summon his beast. Now thinking back, Lin Xiao felt cold sweat. No wonder his Zuan beast didn't dare to attack Yang Xiaoshan at that time. It must be that his Zuan felt the breath of the dragon, so he didn't dare to attack Yang Xiaoshan. Xiao Yang also had a complicated expression and said, I didn't expect that Yang Xiaoshan was also a beastmaster, and he subdued such a powerful dragon. He Jian Mu and He Jian are both masters of the second level of Wuzun. Yang Xiaoshan's dragon is probably at the fourth level of Wuzun. The fourth level of Wuzun. He kings and others trembled in their hearts. He kings thought of how he had tried to attack Yang Xiaoshan many times before, and his hands and feet became cold. Although he was at the peak of Wuzang, his strength was nothing in front of a 4th level Wuzun dragon. No, not even one claw was needed. It was estimated that a fart would knock him unconscious. In the following days, Yang Xiaoshan's life was much calmer. Every day he stayed in the yard to practice the 32 supreme magical powers and the 1,000 swords of the sky obtained from the Xianlang treasure. When he was free, he would accompany his parents. Sometimes, Yang Xiaoshan would go to the sword tower to comprehend the sword wall. When the students in the sword tower saw Yang Xiaoshan coming, they still escaped from the sword tower as before. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. During this half month, Yang Xiaoshan finally cultivated the Sky 1,000 swords to perfection. After cultivating the Sky 1,000 swords to perfection, Yang Xiaoshan came to the outside of Xiandao Imperial City, displayed the Sky 1,000 swords magical power, flew in the air, and really indulged in the addiction of high altitude flying. During these days of cultivation, Yang Xiaoshan did not forget to ask Luo King and others to continue to inquire about and find news about the innate sword spirit. Now, although he has cultivated the Wangxiang sword technique and the Hanshan sword technique to perfection, it is still far from enough to condense the best golden elixir. Therefore, he has to continue to look for the innate sword spirit. At the same time, he also asked Luo King and others to inquire about the spirit of the origin of the 5 element. The Vajra immortal great handprint he cultivated is the supreme magical power of the gold system. If he can obtain the spirit of the origin of the gold system and refine it, he can also cultivate his Vajra immortal great handprint to the pinnacle. The same is true for other supreme magical powers. Because of the blood dragon spirit from the blood dragon spirit vein, Yang Xiaoshan activated the beginning dragon art to practice, and his strength improved a lot faster. If he continued like this, it wouldn't take long for him to break through the 6th level of the Martial King. In order to let the Azure Thunder Python and the Black Flood King return to their ancestral bloodline, Yang Xiaoshan chose a Dragon Clan technique left by Hanfeng Cave Mansion, and passed it on to the 2 beasts for practice. Although this Dragon Clan technique is not as good as his beginning dragon art, it is also a very strong technique of the ancient Dragon Clan. At this time, He Jian Mu and He Jian also returned to the Shenlong Empire Pharmacist Hall. Wang Zhao listened to the 2 people's detailed report. His face was as gloomy as water. Yang Xiaoshan said that, if our Empire Pharmacist Hall sends someone over again, they will die. He Jian Mu lowered his head, his voice as weak as a mosquito. Wang Zhao's eyes turned cold. He doesn't know how to live or die. He really thinks that he dares to challenge our Imperial Pharmacist Hall with a dragon. Then he said, according to your judgment, what is the strength of that dragon? He Jian recalled and said, it should be the 4th, 5th, or even 7th level of Wuzun. However, he couldn't be sure of the specific strength of Yang Xiaoshan's Black Dragon King, because the Black Dragon King only slapped with 1 claw and swept with 1 tail at that time, and did not reveal the true strength. Wang Zhao said in a deep voice, go and call Fang Heng. He Jian Mu and He Jian were surprised. The elder is going to send Lord Fang Heng to Xiandao Imperial City? He Jian Mu asked carefully. Fang Heng is a peak warrior of the 10th level of Wuzun. And he is a peak warrior of the 10th level of Wuzun who has stepped half a step into the Emperor realm. Wang Zhao said coldly, that's right, let Fang Heng go. He Jian Mu and He Jian looked at each other, and finally responded respectfully. After a while, Fang Heng came to Wang Zhao. Capture Yang Xiaoshan, and don't let him escape. And that dragon, pull out its tendons and skin it. Wang Zhao said in a deep voice, cut off its head and hang it on the gate of Xiandao Imperial City. Anyone who dares to stop us will be killed. Fang Heng nodded, I understand. After that, he broke through the air and left, disappearing into the sky in the blink of an eye. Not long after Fang Heng left, Wang Zhao's disciple Wu Yu came in to report that the Chief Hall Master wanted to see Wang Zhao. The Chief Hall Master has come out of retreat. Wang Zhao was surprised. Shi Yangping, the chief of the Shenlong Empire Pharmacist Hall, has been in retreat these days to refine the holy pill. Yes, the chief hall master has come out of retreat. Wang Zhao's disciple Wu Yu said respectfully, and he hesitated for a moment. The chief hall master seems to be not quite right. He asked master to go there immediately. Go there immediately? Wang Zhao frowned, then left the yard and came to the main hall. When he arrived at the main hall, he found that not only was the chief hall master Shi Yangping there, but also the second elder Chen Nan. Seeing Chen Nan, Wang Zhao's face darkened. This Chen Nan was against him everywhere. Chief hall master. Wang Zhao clasped his fists. Shi Yangping turned around and looked at Wang Zhao. Wang Zhao, I heard that you sent Jian Mu and his brother to Xiandao Imperial City to capture a child named Yang Xiaoshan a few days ago. Hearing Shi Yangping's question, Wang Zhao explained, this Yang Xiaoshan is lawless. A few days ago, he led people to break into the Xiandao Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Not only did he seriously injure a group of pharmacist masters in our medicine hall, but he also robbed a large number of rare medicinal materials from the medicine hall. But as soon as he said this, Shi Yangping interrupted and said, robbed a large number of rare medicinal materials from the medicine hall. Then he scolded, Wang Zhao, don't think I don't know what's going on. Do you really think that the Imperial Medicine Hall belongs to your Wang family? You can punish anyone you want. Then he continued to scold. Yang Xiaoshan, when he was 8 years old last year, he won the first place in the Shenhe National Pharmacist Competition. Why didn't anyone report to me about such a genius in alchemy? Just as Wang Zhao was about to speak, Shi Yangping shouted again. Also, Yang Xiaoshan refined the ultimate foundation building spirit liquid without using a medicine cauldron. Why didn't anyone report this unparalleled genius of alchemy to me? Wang Zhao said calmly, refined the ultimate foundation building spirit liquid without using a medicine cauldron? Such an absurd thing must be a rumor. Chapter 178 You'd better get off now. Rumor? Chen Nan sneered. Yang Xiaoshan refined the best foundation building spirit liquid in the Xiandao Imperial City Medicine Hall without using a medicine cauldron. Many family disciples and pharmacists present at the time saw it with their own eyes. Wang Zhao's face did not change and he said, sometimes what others see may not be true. Then he said to Shi Yangping, if the chief hall master has nothing to do, then I will go back first. After saying that, without waiting for Shi Yangping's reply, he clasped his fists and turned to leave. After Wang Zhao left, Chen Nan said angrily, Chief Hall Master, Wang Zhao is relying on the support of the Xianshan sect to back him up, and he is getting more and more arrogant. Now he doesn't even take you seriously. Shi Yangping looked at Wang Zhao who was leaving, and his face was not very good. Since Wang Zhao hooked up with the Xianshan sect, his attitude towards him has gradually changed. He knew that Wang Zhao had always coveted his position as the chief hall master of the Imperial Pharmacist. In the past, Wang Zhao did not dare to show it, but after having the support of the Xianshan sect, it became more and more obvious. Wang Zhao has evil intentions. If the position of the chief hall master of the Imperial Pharmacist falls into Wang Zhao's hands, the medicine hall of the Shenlong Empire and all the medicine halls under the empire will be doomed forever. However, thinking of the huge giant of the Tatian sect, Shi Yangping sighed in his heart. In recent years, the Tatian sect has become more and more powerful and has the potential to compete with the Shenlong Empire. There are even rumors that the Tatian sect wants to destroy the imperial family of the Shenlong Empire and replace it. Wang Zhao returned to his yard from the main hall, and his disciple Wu Yu came to greet him. Master, I wonder why the chief hall master asked you to go over? Wu Yu asked carefully. Wang Zhao sneered. It's just an old thing who is about to die. It's about that Yang Xiaoshan. Thinking of Shi Yangping scolding him in front of Chen Nan, he felt even more unhappy. Yang Xiaoshan? Wu Yu hesitated and said, then should we call Fang Heng back? In Wu Yu's opinion, since Shi Yangping already knew about Yang Xiaoshan, it would be inappropriate to let Fang Heng kill Yang Xiaoshan. Wang Zhao heard this and said coldly, why do you want to call Fang Heng back? Since old man Shi already knows about Yang Xiaoshan's existence, Yang Xiaoshan should die even more. Then he gave Wu Yu a token. Take my token, and tell Zheng Bio to go to Xiandao Imperial City now, and join forces with Fang Heng to kill Yang Xiaoshan directly for me. There is no need to bring Yang Xiaoshan back. Wu Yu was stunned. Kill him directly? Zheng Biao, like Fang Heng, is at the peak of the 10th level of martial arts. Master is actually going to send 2 peak 10th level martial arts masters to kill Yang Xiaoshan? Wang Zhao nodded and said, go. Wu Yu opened his mouth and finally responded respectfully and retreated. Wang Zhao looked at Wu Yu's leaving figure, turned and entered the inner room, and after a while, he left the yard and flew towards the direction of the Tatian sect. Another 10 days passed. During these 10 days, Yang Xiaoshan, like before, in addition to practicing the 32 supreme magical powers of the Xianlong treasure in the yard, came to the sword tower to comprehend the sword wall. 10 days later, he had already comprehended the 8th level of the sword tower. However, after condensing 4 sword hearts, he still could not condense the 5th sword heart. One day, when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing a supreme magical power of the Dragon Clan in the yard, suddenly, an astonishing aura descended on Xiandao Imperial City. The strength of this aura shocked countless powerful people in Xiandao Imperial City. Is this the Emperor realm? The Great Emperor? Just as countless powerful people in Xiandao Imperial City were guessing in fear, a tall figure appeared in the sky above Xiandao Imperial City. It's Lord Fang Heng of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. A powerful person recognized the tall figure in the sky. As soon as the news came out, all the powerful people in Xiandao Imperial City were shocked. Soon, He Kings, Jiuo Wei, Zhang Yun and others knew the news of the arrival of Fang Heng of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. It's Lord Fang Heng. The Imperial Pharmacist Hall actually sent Lord Fang Heng here. Jiuo Wei was shocked when he heard this and laughed loudly. This time Yang Xiaoshan will definitely die. Although Fang Heng is at the peak of the 10th level of martial honor, his reputation is extremely great, not inferior to many powerful emperors. There are too many legends about Fang Heng, too many to count. It can be said that Fang Heng is the most legendary sword genius of the younger generation of the Shenlong Empire. He is also the most legendary pharmacist genius in the Shenlong Empire's pharmacist world. Many geniuses, after practicing hard for a lifetime, still find it difficult to achieve martial honor. But Fang Heng, who has practiced for less than 40 years, has already reached the peak of martial honor and has half-stepped into the Emperor realm. Many powerful people assert that Fang Heng will be able to enter the Emperor realm within a year. How amazing and how evil a 40-year-old emperor is. Because of this, the geniuses of the major imperial countries under the Shenlong Empire all worship him fanatically. Jiuo Wei worships Fang Heng very much. Let's go to Yang Xiaoshan's house and see how Lord Fang Heng will deal with Yang Xiaoshan. Jiuo Wei said excitedly, and then pulled Lin Xiao and Xiao Yang to Yang Xiaoshan's house at the fastest speed, fearing that they would miss the wonderful scene. After He Kings, Xian Miling and even Chen Jun learned that it was Fang Heng who came, they also stopped practicing and rushed to Yang Xiaoshan's house at the fastest speed. Almost at once, the strong men from all sides of Xiandao Imperial City rushed to Yang Xiaoshan's house. Some wanted to see Fang Heng's charming style, and some wanted to see Yang Xiaoshan's appearance. Fang Heng saw the strong men from all sides of Xiandao Imperial City rushing over, but he ignored them and walked straight to Yang Xiaoshan's house in the air. He walked slowly and walked towards Yang Xiaoshan's house step by step in the sky. Every step he took, a golden ripple was swaying in the sky. Seeing this, the strong men of Xiandao Imperial City were shocked. You know, although the strong men in the Imperial realm and the respected realm can fly in the air, they can't walk in the air. Unless they are emperors. However, Fang Heng did it. Lord Fang Heng is worthy of being the legendary genius of our Shenlong Empire. I heard that, although Lord Fang Heng is at the peak of martial honor, he can fight against the Great Emperor. As we all know, there is a world of difference between the Great Emperor and the martial honor. A Great Emperor can easily kill a honored realm warrior with one hand, but Fang Heng can fight against the Great Emperor at the level of martial honor. How amazing it is. In the shocked and fanatical eyes of the crowd, Fang Heng stepped into the air step by step and came to the sky above Yang Xiaoshan's yard. He looked down at Yang Xiaoshan who was practicing in the yard below and said without any ripples in his voice, Yang Xiaoshan, right? At this time, Jiuo Wei, He Kings, Xian Miling, Chen Jun, all arrived and everyone held their breath. Yang Xiaoshan looked at Fang Heng, who was standing in the air, high above, looking down at him, and said coldly, "You'd better get down now." This Fang Heng reminded him of Jiu Wu, Lang Yi and others from the Fulong Sword sect. At the beginning, Jiu Wu, Lang Yi and others were also like this, standing in the air, high above, looking down at him. When Yang Xiaoshan said to let Fang Heng roll down, everyone was stunned, thinking they had heard it wrong. Jiu Wei said angrily, "This Yang Xiaoshan, who is he? He is a fool who dares to speak to Lord Fang Heng like this." Chapter 179 killed them all. Tang Lin, who was beside Xian Miling, was also angry when she heard Yang Xiaoshan asking Fang Heng to roll down. Yang Xiaoshan, a little martial king, dares to be so rude to Lord Fang Heng. Unforgivable. Chen Jun shook his head. This Yang Xiaoshan was still as arrogant as he had seen him at the beginning. Unfortunately, this time Yang Xiaoshan met Fang Heng from the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Even Fang Heng was surprised. He was such a high-ranking person that even the heads of many big families in the empire were very polite to him. Now a little first-year student from Xiandao Academy asked him to roll down as soon as he opened his mouth. "Let me roll down." Fang Heng's voice was still calm. "Ignorant young man, summon your dragon." I pulled out its tendons, peeled off its skin, cut off its dragon, hung it on the gate of Xiandao Imperial City, and then took you back to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall to be punished. Fang Heng's voice resounded throughout Xiandao Imperial City. Just as Fang Heng finished speaking, suddenly, a figure broke through the sky from the distant sky. Although they had not yet reached Xiandao Imperial City, the strong aura was like a rolling wave, flooding Xiandao Imperial City. Everyone was shocked and turned to see that the person coming was a tall and strong man. It's Master Zheng Bio from the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Xian Miling was shocked. Zheng Bio. Everyone was shocked when they heard it. Zheng Bio, like Fang Heng, was also a legend of the Shenlong Empire. Zheng Bio's fame was not inferior to Fang Heng. The Imperial Pharmacist Hall actually sent Master Fang Heng and Master Zheng Bio here at the same time. The crowd was in an uproar. Fang Heng was also surprised. He didn't expect Zheng Bio to come. In the blink of an eye, Zheng Bio came to the sky above Yang Xiaoshan's house. He stood in front of Fang Heng. Master Wang Zhao said that Yang Xiaoshan seriously injured the deacon of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall and provoked the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. His crime should be executed. Zheng Bio said coldly. The deacons he mentioned, were He Jian Mu and He Jian, deserved to be executed. Hearing Zheng Bio's words, the scene was even more turbulent. Jiu Wei, Lin Xiao, Xiao Yang and others all looked excited. If anyone wanted Yang Xiaoshan to die the most, it would be Jiu Wei. When Tang Lin heard Zheng Bio sentenced Yang Xiaoshan to death, she looked at Xian Miling. She knew that Xian Miling still wanted to subdue Yang Xiaoshan and join the Sword Alliance. "Sister Xian, should we save Yang Xiaoshan?" Tang Lin said. Xian Miling shook her head and smiled bitterly. "Even if I want to save him, I can't." The people who came were Fang Heng and Zheng Bio. Even if she asked, Fang Heng and Zheng Bio would not give her face, unless her second uncle came in person. When Fang Heng heard Zheng Bio say that Wang Zhao ordered to kill Yang Xiaoshan, he frowned and said, "Then you do it." He was not willing to kill a martial king. Zheng Bio hummed, and without saying a word, he suddenly slapped Yang Xiaoshan with a palm. A huge palm print fell from the sky. This palm print, with thunder clouds rolling, actually had the power of a heavenly tribulation. An astonishing power of the heavenly tribulation enveloped the house where Yang Xiaoshan was. All the slaves under Yang Xiaoshan were terrified. "It's the heavenly tribulation palm," a master exclaimed. "There are so many sects and schools in the Dragon Empire, and so many supreme magical powers. However, among the many supreme magical powers in the empire, the heavenly tribulation palm can definitely rank in the top 100, and its power is extremely powerful." Everyone did not expect Zheng Bio to use the heavenly tribulation palm as soon as he made a move. It seems that Zheng Bio wants to kill Yang Xiaoshan as soon as possible to avoid more trouble. Under the power of Zheng Bio's heavenly tribulation palm, cracks began to appear on the ground of the house. Seeing that the heavenly tribulation palm was about to fall, suddenly, the Black Dragon King, who was as big as a mountain, appeared behind Yang Xiaoshan. The Black Dragon King snorted coldly and slapped out with his dragon claws. It was not seen how it operated its magical powers, but the astonishing heavenly tribulation palm was shattered wherever the dragon claws passed. Then, the Black Dragon King's dragon claws continued to attack and slapped directly at Zengbao. Zengbao had already prepared for this. Seeing the Black Flood Dragon King attack, he smiled coldly. "You're just in time. I'll kill you today and roast your meat for wine." At this point, a huge dragon sword appeared in his hand. Dragon slash. "I'll chop off your claws first." As he slashed out, the amazing sword energy with destructive power slashed on the Black Flood Dragon King's dragon claws. Zeng. The dragon sword slashed on the dragon claws. Light burst out. But then Zengbao's face changed drastically, because his dragon sword seemed to have slashed on the unshakable dragon mountain. Not to mention chopping off the dragon claws. Even the dragon scales on the opponent's dragon claws could not be broken. Moreover, an amazing recoil force caused him a sharp pain in his hand, and the dragon sword could not be controlled, and flew out of his hand. The Black Flood Dragon King's eyes were cold, and the dragon claws continued to hit the opponent. Fang Heng was also surprised. He didn't have time to think about it, and suddenly punched the Black Flood Dragon King's dragon claws, breaking the Sky Fist. The Sky Breaking Fist is so powerful that it is even more powerful than the Heavenly Tribulation Palm, breaking the air with one punch. It seemed as if a huge hole was blasted out of the space. The fist force passed through the hole and hit the dragon claw. But Fang Heng and Zengbao saw that the force of the air-breaking fist hit the dragon claw, and it exploded like fireworks, and the dragon claw continued to attack. Looking at the dragon claw that was like a hill, Fang Heng and Zengbao's faces finally changed drastically, and they attacked with all their strength, not daring to hold back. But it was useless. The two people's full strength combined force still couldn't shake the dragon claw, and the dragon claw instantly hit the two people. The two people fell at the end of the street like a meteor, with a loud bang. What? Xian Meiling's beautiful eyes were full of disbelief. Jiuo Wei, Chen Jun, He Kings and others were all shocked. Fang Heng and Zengbao, two martial masters at the peak of the 10th level, joined forces to attack, but they couldn't stop the dragon next to Yangtze Ocean. Didn't they say that the dragon next to Yangtze Ocean was a martial master of the 4th or 5th level? Yangtze Ocean used the 1,000 swords of the sky, flew up on his sword, and stood in the air. He looked at Fang Heng and Zengbao who fell at the end of the street, and said indifferently, "Kill them all. Kill them all." As soon as Yangtze Ocean said this, it was like a cold wind blowing from the north, and everyone felt cold. Fang Heng and Zengbao felt a dark sky above their heads. When they looked up, they saw that the Black Flood Dragon King had come to their heads without knowing when, and slapped down with his dragon claws. The two were shocked and angry, and their whole body's true energy was circulated, and they attacked again. However, before the two of them could blast out, they were completely blasted by the dragon claws. When the dragon claws slapped the ground shook violently, and amazing cracks appeared. Although Fang Heng and Zengbao barely avoided the power of the dragon claws, they were knocked out by the stones that shot up from the ground. This was not over yet. The huge dragon tail of the Black Flood Dragon King swept past, and Fang Heng and Zengbao were both swept up and blasted out like cannonballs, smashing through countless buildings. The Black Flood King opened his mouth and spewed out black dragon flames. Fang Heng and Zengbao screamed. When the black dragon flames dissipated, the area where the two were located had turned into ashes. Chapter 180 I will kill all 9 clans of Yangtze Ocean. In the ashes, there were 2 half-burned bodies. Why half-bodies? Because Fang Heng and Zengbao were not dead yet. They were still half-breathed. Looking at the 2 dying people, the Black Dragon King had no expression on his face, and his dragon claws stabbed down again, easily cutting the armor on the 2 people. Fang Heng and Zengbao had no power to resist, and let the sharp dragon claws directly penetrate their chests. When the Black Dragon King raised his dragon claws, the 2 were on the verge of death. However, there was still a faint life in their bodies. Yangtze Ocean fell in front of the 2 people, with a sharp sword in his hand, and inserted it directly from Fang Heng's throat, just like Zhang Heo who dealt with the Matter sect, inch by inch, until it came out from the back of his neck. Blood, along the sword, continued to emerge. But this time, Yang Xiaoshan did not draw his sword, but took out another sharp sword, inserted it into Zheng Bai's throat, until it came out through his neck. One day later, let Wang Fan and Liu Shuang come to collect the bodies of the two. Yang Xiaoshan's voice was cold. Now, Fang Heng and Zheng Bio are not dead yet, but one day later, their blood will run dry, and they will die. Yang Xiaoshan used the 1,000 swords of the sky, and returned to the house. Everyone looked at Fang Heng and Zheng Bio, who were nailed into the ground by the sword, and they were shocked. Fang Heng, that is the most legendary alchemy genius of the younger generation of the Shenlong Empire, and the most legendary sword genius. He will also be the youngest peak martial arts master. Within a year, he will break through the Great Emperor realm. By then, he will be the youngest Great Emperor in the Shenlong Empire. But now, he is about to die here. There is no more Emperor realm. Zheng Bio, the same is true. However, no one dared to step forward to save Fang Heng and Zheng Bio. Even though there were many masters of the medicine hall in the crowd around, no one dared to step forward to save them. Jiuo Wei looked at Fang Heng, who was lying there, breathing weakly, bleeding profusely, and on the verge of death. He felt something in his heart collapse. He was more desperate than despair. Fang Heng had always been a mountain in his heart, a mountain that was difficult to climb, but now, this mountain was lying there, and he couldn't climb it, no matter how hard he tried. All this was because of one person, Yang Xiaoshan. Looking at Yang Xiaoshan returning to the house, Jiuo Wei was shocked, angry, and hateful. Xian Miling, He Kings, Chen Jun and others were also extremely shocked. If it was other martial masters lying there, they would not be so shocked, but the one lying there was Fang Heng and Zheng Bio. It can be said that the two of them were already half-step emperors, and they would definitely become emperors in the future. Now, they were about to die in the hands of Yang Xiaoshan. They looked at the Black Dragon King, who was still coiled in the sky like a mountain. It was hard to believe that Yang Xiaoshan's beast was actually an emperor. Yang Xiaoshan, just a small martial king. How did he subdue the emperor beast? How did he do it? Not only the three of them couldn't figure it out, but everyone at the scene couldn't figure it out. Ignoring the people outside, Yang Xiaoshan continued to practice his swordsmanship in the yard. None of the people outside left. It was quiet. The strong wind swept the sand and soil, constantly pouring it into the mouths of Fang Heng and Zheng Bio. The faces and bodies of the two were covered with sand and dust again and again. In the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, Wang Zhao had just returned from the Tatian sect and was about to practice when he saw his disciple Wu Yu running in panic, with a look of fear he had never had before on his face. Wang Zhao was puzzled. His disciple had always been steady, so why was he so panicked now? Master, Fang Heng and Zheng Bio are dead, Wu Yu said in a voice that was almost crying. His whole body was shaking, as if his body was experiencing a terrible destruction. What did you say? Wang Zhao felt his mind buzzing, his eyes widened, and he was about to faint. Wu Yu trembled and said, the dragon next to Yang Xiaoshan is not a martial master, but an emperor, a powerful emperor. Emperor? Wang Zhao opened his mouth wide, his mind was blank. Yang Xiaoshan, a martial king, subdued an emperor beast. Wu Yu trembled again and said, the dragon did not kill Fang Heng and Zheng Bio, but left them half-breathed. Yang Xiaoshan used a sword to pierce their throats, and nailed them on the streets of Xiandao Imperial City, letting the people of Xiandao Imperial City watch them bleed to death slowly. Wang Zhao clenched his fists, his eyes bursting with terrifying cold light, like a wounded beast, roaring, Yang Xiaoshan, you bastard. I, Wang Zhao, will not be a human if I don't kill you. Whether it was Fang Heng or Zheng Bio, they were both capable men under him, and they were both the geniuses he valued the most. He regarded them as his own children, and devoted all the resources of the medicine hall to train them. It seemed that the two were about to break through the emperor realm. Now, they are dead. Died in the hands of Yang Xiaoshan, a little martial king. How could Wang Zhao not hate and be angry? Thinking of the death of Fang Heng and Zheng Bio, Wang Zhao felt a pang of heartache. I will kill all 9 clans of Yang Xiaoshan. I will kill everyone who has anything to do with Yang Xiaoshan. Wang Zhao's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and he gritted his teeth. It was the first time that Wu Yu saw how murderous his master was. However, he also knew how important Fang Heng and Zheng Bio were to his master. Master, the dragon next to Yang Zai Ocean is extremely powerful. I'm afraid it's already the 5th or 6th level of the Great Emperor. Wu Yu said carefully. It may even be more than that. If you want to kill Yang Zai Ocean, you must at least send a master at the peak of the Great Emperor or even a Saint Realm master. However, such a strong man is no longer something Wang Zhao can assign casually. After all, Wang Zhao is only the Grand Elder of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, not the Grand Master of the Imperial Pharmacy Hall. Wang Zhao took a deep breath, trying to calm the killing intent in his heart, and said, soon, I will be able to control the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, and become the chief of the hall. At that time, if I don't kill Yang Zai Ocean and his 9 clans, I will not be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. When he controls the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, then all the masters of the Shenlong Empire's Pharmacist Hall will be at his disposal. He doesn't believe that he can't kill Yang Zai Ocean, even if he uses all the power of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. The matter of Fang Heng and Zheng Bao soon spread to some super sects in the Shenlong Empire, which naturally caused a great shock. A day later, Wang Fan and Liu Shuang finally dared to come up and collect the bodies of Fang Heng and Zheng Bao, but looking at the Black Dragon King in the sky, the two were extremely nervous and scared. Their hands were stiff, touching the stiff bodies of Fang Heng and Zheng Bao. However, Fang Heng and Zheng Bao still had Yang Zai Ocean's sword stuck in their throats. They couldn't just carry them back like this. Maybe it was because their hands were stiff, but when they tried to pull out the swords from Fang Heng and Zheng Bao's throats, they couldn't. After finally pulling out the swords, they were about to take the bodies of Fang Heng and Zheng Bao back when Yang Zai Ocean appeared behind them. Go back and tell Fang Zhao that, if he dares to send anyone again, I will personally go to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall and crush his balls. Chapter 181, Saw Tower 18th floor. Yang Zai Ocean suddenly appeared behind Wang Fan and Liu Shuang, scaring them half to death. Their hands slipped, and the corpse in their hands almost fell to the ground. In the end, the two fled with the corpse. Yang Zai Ocean looked at the two people leaving indifferently, and then returned to the house with the Black Dragon King. After Yang Zai Ocean left, Cheyenne Mealing and Tanglin still heard Yang Zai Ocean's words, that he would crush his eggs. That was the egg of Wang Zhao, the head of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. How domineering was Yang Zai Ocean's words. In the end, everyone left with various thoughts. On the street, the wind was still raging. The dust quickly covered the blood on the ground. He Kings, Jiuo Wei, Lin Zhao, Zhao Yang and others returned to Xiandao College. No one spoke along the way. After returning to the courtyard, Jiuo Wei said angrily, Yang Zai Ocean is so arrogant. He really thinks that he is invincible with an emperor beast. Lord Wang Zhao is a peak saint. If Yang Zai Ocean dares to go to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, Lord Wang Zhao will crush him. Zhao Yang also said angrily. He Kings looked at Lin Zhao and asked, Lin Zhao, you are also a beast master. If it were you, would it be possible to subdue an emperor beast? Lin Zhao shook his head. I subdued Zhu Yan with great effort. I almost died in Zhu Yan's hands. Not to mention the emperor beast, even the martial beast would be impossible for me to subdue. He Kings frowned. How did Yang Zai Ocean subdue the dragon? Lin Zhao remained silent. He couldn't figure out this question. Not long after, Wang Zhao also learned that Yang Zai Ocean threatened to crush his testicles. Naturally, he was so angry that his face turned blue. In the following days, Yang Zai Ocean continued to practice his magical powers in the yard and comprehend the sword wall in the sword tower. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. He had already practiced all 32 supreme magical powers in the Cheyenne Long treasure to the Great Success realm, and some had even been practiced to the Perfect realm. As for the sword tower, he had already comprehended the 16th floor. In these 3 months, the strength of his subordinates has also been greatly improved. After practicing the ancient dragon clan skills passed down by Yang Zai Ocean, the Black Dragon King, who was at the peak of the Emperor realm, has also greatly improved his strength and has shown signs of breaking through the Holy Realm. As for the Sky Blue Thunder Python, after swallowing the Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water and the top grade Immortal Pill every day, the injuries he suffered at the beginning have been completely healed. In the words of the Sky Blue Thunder Python, if Zhu Jing dared to come again now, he would be able to kill him 100%. The strength of Yang Xiaoshen's father and mother also improved rapidly. Yang Chao is already in the 7th level of the innate realm, and Huang Ying is in the 5th level of the innate realm. These days, Wang Zhao has been quiet and has not sent anyone over. On this day, Yang Xiaoshen came to the gate of the 17th floor of the Sword Tower. Today, he will step onto the 17th floor of the Sword Tower. Fan Rukun had said that the 17th floor of the Sword Tower should be one of the 10 supreme magical powers. He used his sword energy to blast open the door of the 17th floor and walked up. No one had ever been to the 17th floor of the Sword Tower, so Yang Xiaoshen was the first person. There was no sword wall in the center of the 17th floor. On the stone walls around the Sword Tower, swords were carved. These swords were of different shapes, and there were 17 in total. Although they were only images of swords, Yang Xiaoshen could still feel the amazing sword energy when looking at the images of these swords on the stone wall. It seemed that these sword energies could never be erased by time. Yang Xiaoshen came to the stone wall and carefully comprehended the supreme magical powers contained in these 17 swords. 10 days later, he finally comprehended the supreme magical powers contained in these 17 swords on the 17th floor. Immortal Sword Art. One of the 10 supreme magical powers of the Dragon Empire. If one can cultivate the immortal sword art to perfection, the sword energy will last forever when the sword is struck. If one cultivates the immortal sword art to the pinnacle, the sword energy will not be extinguished even after many years, just like the immortal sword energy on the stone wall now. After thoroughly comprehending the immortal sword art of the 17th level, Yang Xiaoshen came to the door of the 18th floor, blasted the door open with the immortal sword energy, and walked onto the 18th floor. In the center of the 18th floor, there was an ancient sword, and next to the ancient sword, there was a secret book. Seeing the ancient sword and the secret book from afar, Yang Xiaoshen's heart speeded up. Fan Rukun said that the 18th floor might be a heavenly sword and the heavenly sword technique. However, when Yang Xiaoshen came to the ancient sword, he frowned and saw that the blade of the ancient sword had fine cracks. This sword was a broken sword. A broken sword means a sword that has been destroyed by some force and has some defects. Such a sword is undoubtedly a useless sword and cannot exert the power of the sword at all. Disappointed, Yang Xiaoshen picked up the secret book next to him, opened it and had mixed feelings. This secret book was called The Art of Burying the Sky Sword, and the broken sword was the Burying Sky Sword, ranked first on the heavenly sword list. The Burying Sky Sword ranked first among the heavenly swords. If it was to be considered powerful, it was second only to the major divine swords. But it was broken. Yang Xiaoshen picked up the Burying Sky Sword, which was very heavy, and the sword body did not shine at all. Master Ding, is there any way to repair this Burying Sky Sword? Yang Xiaoshen asked, after waking up the medicine cauldron. There is a way, but it is quite difficult. Medicine cauldron said. Yang Xiaoshen was greatly encouraged when he heard it. What is the way? Didn't you collect an innate spiritual root in the Black Snow Mountain before? If you put this sword on the innate spiritual root, to nurture it for a few decades, and then use the innate sword energy you collected before to temper it for a few decades, and finally use the power of your 4 great sword hearts to temper it for a few decades, it should be able to be repaired. Medicine Cauldron said. Yang Xiaoshen was stunned. Decades plus decades plus decades. Wouldn't that be more than 100 years? After more than 100 years, who knows what realm he will be in by then, and what can he do to repair it? Is there any way to speed up the repair? Yang Xiaoshen asked helplessly. Yao Ding said, the fastest way is to put it back into the furnace and forge it again, but it needs to be forged with divine fire, and it needs to be forged with innate sword energy, innate refined iron, and heavenly tribulation thunder water of more than 4 levels. After the forging is successful, use the power of your 9-color sword heart to temper the sword body. If you have 10 9-color sword hearts, it should be completely repaired in a month. Innate refined iron, heavenly tribulation thunder water of more than 4 levels, 10 9-color sword hearts. Yang Xiaoshen smiled bitterly. He has the divine fire and the innate sword energy, but where can he find innate refined iron and heavenly tribulation thunder water of more than 4 levels? Moreover, he has only condensed 4 9-color sword hearts now. It will take a long time to condense 10 9-color sword hearts. After a while, He could only put away the Burial Heaven sword and the Burial Heaven sword art and leave the sword tower. Coming to the outside of the sword tower, looking at the towering sword tower in front of him, Yang Xiaoshan pondered that the sword tower left by the sword god must have hidden other secrets. Perhaps, when he repaired the Sky Burial sword and successfully practiced the Sky Burial sword technique, he could unlock this secret. Chapter 182, Comprehending the Dragon Sword. After returning to the house, Yang Xiaoshan took out the Heaven Burial sword art and began to read it. He read it very seriously. After reading it for the first time, he had memorized all the sword moves of the Heaven Burial sword art. After closing the secret book, Yang Xiaoshan recalled it once, and then read it for the second time. After reading it for the fourth time, he had already understood the mysteries of the sword moves in the Heaven Burial sword art, and then took the sword to perform it. The Heaven Burial sword art has the power of burying the sky. With one sword, the power is even stronger, but unfortunately, without the cooperation of the Heaven Burial sword, the power is only slightly stronger than many supreme magical powers. Only with the cooperation of the Heaven Burial sword can the true power of the Heaven Burial sword art be exerted. After practicing for a day, Yang Xiaoshan stopped, and then summoned Luo King to ask Luo King about the innate refined iron and the fourth heavenly tribulation Thunderwater. It's time to comprehend the Dragon Control Sword. After Luo King left, Yang Xiaoshan said to himself. Now, he has completely comprehended the 18th floor of the sword tower. According to the rules of the academy, he can comprehend the Dragon Control Sword. He came to Xiandao Academy for the Dragon Controlling Sword and the Heavenly Dao Sword. So, after Luo King left, Yang Xiaoshan came to the 18th floor of the sword tower and used the Heaven Burial sword key that he had already comprehended, activating the power of the sword ball at the top of the sword tower. According to the rules of the academy, as long as you comprehend the 18th floor of the sword tower, you can activate the sword ball at the top of the sword tower and then comprehend the Dragon Controlling Sword. At this time, Zhang Yun was instructing Jiuo Wei in the courtyard to practice the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword. Jiuo Wei held the Golden Emperor Sword in his left hand and the Jade Sea Sword in his right hand. The sword key was running wild, and the brilliant sword technique and the Jade Sea Sword technique blended together, which actually triggered many strange phenomena. Obviously, compared with the monthly exam more than 3 months ago, Jiuo Wei's two heavenly sword techniques have greatly improved. When Jiuo Wei stopped his swordplay, Zhang Yun praised him with satisfaction. Great swordplay. Tomorrow is the semester exam. With your strength, you will definitely be among the top 3 in the grade tomorrow. Jiuo Wei tightly grasped the Golden Emperor Sword and the Blue Sea Sword, and took a deep breath. When I'm among the top 3 in the grade, and comprehend the Dragon Controlling Sword, I will be able to control the Dragon Controlling Sword. By then, I will be one of the 3 heavenly sword masters. When I practice the Dragon Controlling Sword, what does it matter if Yang Xiaoshan has 3 9-colored sword hearts? One day, I will defeat him. Just as he finished speaking, suddenly, he saw the sword energy rising from the direction of the sword tower. Zhang Yun and Jiuo Wei were shocked. They hurried out of the yard and saw the sword ball at the top of the sword tower shining brightly and heavy sword energy bursting out from it. Jiuo Wei's face was extremely ugly. Someone has comprehended the 18th floor of the sword tower. This person is undoubtedly Yang Xiaoshan. Zhang Yun said with a gloomy face. Even if Yang Xiaoshan comprehends the 18th floor of the sword tower, it doesn't matter. He can't comprehend the Yulong sword. Then he said, you have the Golden Emperor Sword, the Jade Sea Sword, and the blood of the ancient dragon god. It will be easy to comprehend the Yulong sword tomorrow. The Yulong sword is definitely yours. Jiuo Wei nodded. He has already comprehended the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword. Tomorrow he is 100% confident that he can control the Yulong sword. Yang Xiaoshan activated the power of the sword ball in the sword tower and came to Zihang and Fan Ruquin, saying that he wanted to comprehend the Yulong sword. Zihang and Fan Ruquin had expected that Yang Xiaoshan would comprehend the Yulong sword. Without saying a word, they took Yang Xiaoshan to the Yulong Palace. The Yulong sword is inside the Yulong Palace, but the Yulong sword seals a powerful dragon soul. After entering, you must be careful and never anger the dragon soul. Fan Ruquin instructed, and then opened the door of the palace. Yang Xiaoshan nodded and walked into the Yulong Palace. The door of the palace closed. Zihang and Fan Ruquan looked at the closed door with anticipation. No one had ever been able to control the dragon sword, and they also wanted to know if Yang Xiaoshan could control it. When the students of the academy learned that Yang Xiaoshan was going to comprehend the dragon sword, they also came to see if Yang Xiaoshan could control it. Even Xian Miling, He Kings, and Chen Jun came. Junior brother Yang has 3 9-color sword hearts and unparalleled swordsmanship. He will definitely be able to control the dragon sword. That's right, and junior brother Yang has an emperor level dragon. With an emperor level dragon, he will definitely be able to suppress the dragon soul and control the dragon sword. A student of Xiandao Academy said excitedly. Since Yang Xiaoshan nailed Fang Heng and Zheng Bio to death on the streets of Xiandao Imperial City, the teachers and students of Xiandao Academy were shocked, and many people worshipped Yang Xiaoshan fanatically. Zhang Lei from class 1 sneered upon hearing this. So what if it's an Emperor Realm Flood Dragon? In the past, there were Saint Realm experts who tried to comprehend the Yulong sword by force, but they also failed. And that Saint Realm expert, who had 7 sword hearts and cultivated the sword intent, couldn't succeed. Yang Xiaoshan's comprehending the Yulong sword is simply a daydream. Many teachers and students who were just excited were immediately poured with cold water. The Yulong sword is the 71st heavenly sword on the heavenly sword list, so it is naturally coveted by many experts, including Saint Realm experts. However, over the years, even Saint Realm experts have not been able to comprehend the Yulong sword, let alone take it away. Although Zhong Lei's words are hateful, they are also true. It is hard to say whether Yang Xiaoshan can comprehend the Yulong sword. At this time, after Yang Xiaoshan walked into the hall, he saw an ancient sword floating in the sky above the center of the hall. This ancient sword, the scabbard is engraved with a lifelike golden dragon. Although the sword has not been unsheathed, Yang Xiaoshan can still feel the amazing sword energy and dragon power contained in this sword. Yang Xiaoshan sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend the Yulong sword like comprehending the sword wall of the sword tower. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan was surrounded by sword energy, and wisps of sword energy diffused from the Yulong sword. Time passed bit by bit. The stronger the sword energy of the Yulong sword, the brighter the light. Yang Xiaoshan urged the power of the 4 great sword hearts to speed up the comprehension. Suddenly, the Yulong sword flew out of the scabbard, and suddenly, thousands of sword energies, a huge golden dragon flew out of the sword body, and the dragon roared to the sky. The entire academy ground was shaken. Feeling the violent power of the dragon soul, everyone guarding outside the hall was horrified. It's the dragon soul. The dragon soul is enraged. Xian Miling was terrified. She had previously comprehended the Yulong sword and enraged the dragon soul. Once the dragon soul is violent, it is extremely terrifying. Seeing the dragon soul was enraged, Zhang Lei smiled and said, Yang Xiaoshan has enraged the dragon soul. I have said long ago that Yang Xiaoshan's attempt to comprehend the dragon sword is a daydream. Once the dragon soul is enraged, it will be violent and uncontrollable, which means that the comprehending of the dragon sword has failed. Zihang and Fan Ruquan frowned and were disappointed when they saw the dragon soul was enraged. Originally, they had hoped that Yang Xiaoshan could control the dragon sword, but now it seems that Yang Xiaoshan cannot control the dragon sword. Jiuo Wei, who was waiting for news in the yard, also felt the violent power of the dragon soul, and he and Zhang Yun were both overjoyed. Zhang Yun smiled and said, I was right, Yang Xiaoshan cannot control the dragon sword. Jiuo Wei nodded and smiled. Tomorrow, the dragon sword will definitely be his. At this moment, in the hall, the violent dragon soul suddenly attacked Yang Xiaoshan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Ancient Thunder God Cave. Yang Xiaoshan was also shocked when he saw the violent golden dragon soul. Could it be that he had just activated the power of the 4 great sword hearts, causing the dragon soul to go crazy? Without time to think about it, he suddenly stood up and quickly activated the beginning dragon art. More than 900 dragons of true essence entangled and rose up, and the dragon's might was overwhelming. Just when Yang Ocean was about to make a move, suddenly, the violent dragon soul that was rushing over suddenly stopped in midair, just like a train that suddenly braked in midair. The airwaves rolled. Yang Ocean's robes rustled. The dragon soul that braked then lay on the ground, then looked up at Yang Ocean eagerly. Yang Ocean's chin almost dropped to the ground. He never expected that the dragon soul that was still violent just now would suddenly become as docile as a dog, lying there, looking at him eagerly, with its eyes, barking. What's going on? Is it the beginning dragon art? Could it be that the invincible dragon power contained in the beginning dragon art frightened the dragon soul in front of him? Just now, he only activated the beginning dragon art. He didn't expect that the beginning dragon art would have such a miraculous effect on the dragon soul. If so, wouldn't it be invincible if he could subdue the dragon soul in the future? Just as the violent dragon soul became as docile as a dog and lay in front of Yang Ocean, everyone outside the hall looked at the Imperial Dragon Hall in astonishment. The violent power of the dragon soul suddenly disappeared, which surprised everyone. Could it be that junior brother Yang is in trouble? A student from the academy couldn't help but mutter in silence. Cheyenne Mealing and others all had different expressions. Once the dragon soul is violent, the power sweeps across, and even the Saint Realm cannot suppress it. Even if Yang Ocean has an Emperor Realm dragon by his side, it cannot suppress the dragon soul. Maybe Yang Ocean is really in trouble. Zhang Lei was secretly overjoyed. In his opinion, Yang Ocean must have been in trouble. Do you want to open the door of the hall? Zihang looked at Fan Ruquin, and he couldn't make up his mind for a while. Well, let's wait a little longer. Fan Ruquin hesitated. If Yang Ocean was comprehending the Yulong sword at this time, once the door of the Yulong palace was opened, his comprehension would be interrupted. Just when Zihang and Fan Ruquin were arguing, suddenly, the door of the Yulong palace was opened, and a figure appeared in front of everyone. Everyone was stunned. Who else came out but Yang Ocean? No one expected Yang Ocean to come out suddenly. Ocean, are you okay? Fan Ruquin quickly came back to his senses and asked hurriedly. Vice Dean, I'm fine. Yang Ocean smiled. He glanced at everyone, and then said to Zihang, Dean, if there is nothing else, I will go back first. Under the gaze of everyone, he left the Yulong palace. After Yang Ocean left, Zihang reflexively looked into the Yulong palace and was stunned. Fan Ruquin felt strange, and looked into the Yulong palace, and was also dumbfounded. Where is the sword? A student stared at the Yulong palace and said. The Imperial Dragon Palace was empty. The Imperial Dragon Sword that had been floating there had disappeared. Cheyenne Mealing stared at the empty sky above the Imperial Dragon Palace with dull eyes. She murmured, Yang Ocean, he has already comprehended the Imperial Dragon Sword. Everyone stood there in silence. Zhang Lei looked unbelievable. For many years, countless students and masters of the academy had been unable to comprehend the Imperial Dragon Sword and could not take it away. But Yang Ocean comprehended it in less than an hour and took it away. Soon, Zhang Yun and Jiuo Wei also learned the news. Jiuo Wei was immersed in the beautiful dream of comprehending the Imperial Dragon Sword tomorrow and becoming one of the 3 great sword masters. Suddenly, he heard the news that the Imperial Dragon Sword was taken away by Yang Ocean, and he was dumbfounded. Comprehended the Imperial Dragon Sword in less than an hour. Zhang Yun's face was ugly. This is impossible. Absolutely impossible. Back then, he also comprehended the Imperial Dragon Sword, and he had been comprehending it tirelessly, but the Imperial Dragon Sword never moved. But Yang Ocean comprehended it in less than an hour. Jiuo Wei tightly grasped the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword, and the joints of his hands turned white. Although the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword in his hands are also heavenly swords. However, one is ranked 104 on the Heavenly Sword list, and the other is ranked 110 on the Heavenly Sword list. In terms of power, the 2 heavenly swords in his hands are far inferior to the Yulong Sword. In the past, he loved the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword in his hands, but now, he suddenly felt that the two swords in his hands were not attractive at all. Grand Elder, I'll go back first. Guo Wei clasped his fists to Zhang Yun and no longer had the mood to practice sword and left Zhang Yun's yard. Seeing Guo Wei's lost look, Zhang Yun sighed in his heart. Guo Wei is the master of the two heavenly swords, has the 4 great sword hearts, and also has the blood of the ancient dragon god. If nothing unexpected happens, he will comprehend the Yulang sword tomorrow, and the Yulang sword will be his. But Yang Xiaoshan happened to kill him. Yang Xiaoshan returned home and did not stay idle. He took out the dragon sword and began to practice the dragon sword technique. The dragon sword ranked 71st on the heavenly sword ranking, but after practicing for a while, Yang Xiaoshan felt that the dragon sword was extremely powerful and felt that with the power of the dragon sword, it could definitely be ranked in the top 20 of the heavenly sword ranking. But why was the dragon sword ranked 71st? Yang Xiaoshan asked the Azure Thunder Python. The Azure Thunder Python pondered and said, it should be because the previous owner of the dragon sword was unable to drive the power of the dragon soul, which greatly reduced the power of the dragon sword, so the ranking of the dragon sword dropped to 71st. Yang Xiaoshan nodded and then asked about the practice of the Azure Thunder Python. The Azure Thunder Python said, with the young master's ancient dragon clan skills and blood dragon spirit stone, my bloodline is expected to advance to a super beast within 100 years. 100 years. Yang Xiaoshan frowned. 100 years was still too long for him. If I can find the real Dragon Ball, I will devour the Dragon Ball Dragon Essence, and it won't take 100 years. The Azure Thunder Python said. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. The real Dragon Ball was as rare as the Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water. It was hard to find it. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Under Yang Xiaoshan's hard work, both the Dragon Controlling Sword Technique and the Heaven Burial Sword Technique broke through to the state of great success. The supreme magical power of the Heavenly Dragon Treasure was also cultivated to the state of perfection. His own strength also broke through to the late 7th level of the Martial King. The sun was shining brightly. When Yang Xiaoshan was practicing the Dragon Controlling Sword Technique, he saw Luo King with an excited face, rushing in. Sir, there is news about the 6-fold Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water. Yang Xiaoshan was very excited when he heard it. These days, he has been waiting for the news of the 6-fold Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water. Just now, the eldest prince of the Wuxiang Empire, Liu Yun, sent a message saying that the ancient thunder god cave mansion was born in the dry stone ridge of their Wuxiang Empire. Luo King said excitedly, inside the cave mansion, there is very likely to be 6-fold Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water. Ancient thunder god cave mansion. Then Luo King said, the Wuxiang Empire is still blocking the news, but it won't be blocked for long. It is estimated that it won't be long before the major super sects in the empire will know the news. So, we have to be quick. Chapter 184, Zhu Zuan of the Heavenly Sect. Immediately, Yang Xiaoshan summoned Wookiee, Luo King and everyone else, explained the matter, and after saying goodbye to his parents, he left. Originally, Wookiee and Luo King wanted to go with Yang Xiaoshan, but Yang Xiaoshan asked everyone to practice with peace of mind and wait for him to come back. After leaving Xiandao Imperial City, Yang Xiaoshan summoned the Sky Blue Thunder Python and flew directly on it. The Sky Blue Thunder Python is a god, and its injuries have been completely healed. At full speed, it can travel 100 miles in the blink of an eye. How fast? Sitting on it, Yang Xiaoshan was simply riding the wind and waves. Looking at the white clouds that kept retreating around him, Yang Xiaoshan was filled with emotion. Once upon a time, he also imagined that one day he would soar above the 9 heavens, and now he can be considered to be soaring above the 9 heavens. It must be said that it is good to have a god-level beast like the Sky Blue Thunder Python. One day later, Yang Xiaoshan had already arrived at the Kush Isling of the Wuxiang Imperial Kingdom. If he performed the Sky Thousand Swords himself, he didn't know when he would be able to arrive at the Wuxiang Imperial Kingdom. However, when he arrived at Kush Isling, he saw that the sky and the ground were full of strong men from all sides. Some were flying in the air, some were riding beasts, and some were passing by in sedan chairs. Yang Xiaoshan's heart sank. It seemed that the news of the birth of the ancient thunder god cave mansion of the Washang Empire had leaked out, and the forces of the surrounding imperial countries had already arrived. In order not to attract too much attention, Yang Xiaoshan changed to riding the Black Dragon King, and asked the Black Dragon King to restrain the aura of the peak of the Emperor realm. Even so, the huge body of the Black Dragon King still attracted the attention of the strong men passing by. Who is this kid? He actually subdued such a big dragon. Is he from the Beast God family? Some strong men speculated in surprise. The Beast God family, whose family disciples practiced the beast control tactics, are almost all beast masters. It is the first family of the Washang Empire, and one of the strongest families in many surrounding imperial countries. It shouldn't be from the Beast God family. I haven't heard of anyone from the younger generation of the Beast God family taming a dragon. With everyone looking at him sideways, Yang Xiaoshan rushed to the ancient Thunder God cave mansion without stopping. Soon, he saw the ancient Thunder God cave mansion that was born this time. The withered stone ridge was barren and full of strange shaped rocks. The ancient Thunder God cave mansion was surrounded by countless rocks. This ancient Thunder God cave mansion was even larger than Yang Xiaoshan had imagined. It was a palace complex. There were probably thousands of palaces, just like a super sect. No wonder the Washang Empire couldn't block the news. Such a large palace complex, even the super sects of the empire couldn't block it. When Yang Xiaoshan arrived, the palace was surrounded by powerful people from all sides. Many people were frantically bombarding the palace restrictions. No need to attack, the cave has a large array restriction. Only those below the martial arts sect can enter. Strong people above the martial arts sect can't enter at all. One person said. Yang Xiaoshan's heart moved. Only those below the martial arts sect can enter? He couldn't help but think of the Hangfeng Cave Mansion. Hangfeng Cave Mansion also had restrictions in place. Only the Supreme Martial Spirit could enter. So, Yang Xiaoshan asked the Black Dragon King and the Azure Thunder Python to wait for him outside, and he entered the cave alone. After entering the cave, Yang Xiaoshan found that the space inside the cave was even larger than what he saw from the outside. The palaces were like a maze, and he couldn't use his spiritual sense here, not even flying. He wanted to use the Sky Thousand Swords and fly with the sword, but the gravity of the space suddenly pressed on him like a mountain, and he couldn't fly at all. Fortunately, except for the restrictions on flying and spiritual sense, other things were not affected. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the palaces in front of him, thought about it, and walked towards the center. Generally speaking, the central palace of the cave is the most important. If there is the sixfold heavenly tribulation thunderwater, it should be in the central palace. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was coming to the central palace, a group of uninvited guests came outside the cave. The strong men from all sides saw this group of uninvited guests and their faces were all shocked. Tatian sect. No one expected that the ancient thunder god cave of the Washang Empire would attract masters of the Xian sect. The leader was Zhu Zuan, the core disciple of the Xian sect. Zhu Zuan was a disciple of the Xian sect elders, and one of the most evil geniuses of the younger generation of the Xian sect. The Xian sect has 6 swords, which refers to the 6 sword geniuses with the highest swordsmanship of the younger generation of the Xian sect. Zhu Zuan is the evil sword, one of the 6 swords. Behind Zhu Zuan are a large number of masters he has raised, more than 20 or 30 people, all of whom are at the peak of the 10th level of the Martial King. Obviously, he has learned that only those below the martial sect level can enter the ancient Thunder God Cave, so all those he brought this time are masters of the Martial King level. After Zhu Zuan arrived, he glanced coldly at the masters on the scene and said, "From now on, everything in this ancient Thunder God Cave mansion belongs to our Tatian sect. Anyone who dares to take away anything from the ancient Thunder God Cave mansion, even a weed, will be regarded as an enemy of our Tatian sect." The faces of the masters on the scene changed drastically, and they were all furious. You Tatian sect are too domineering. This ancient Thunder God Cave mansion has been born and is ownerless. A disciple of the Washang imperial family couldn't help but said angrily, "Why do you say it belongs to your Tatian sect?" Zhu Zuan suddenly swung a sword, and suddenly, a flash of blood appeared, and the head of the disciple of the Washang imperial family was chopped off and rolled to the ground. Why? ZHU Zuan smiled coldly. We in the Tatian sect never need a reason to do things. Then he glanced at everyone. If you don't want to be like the Crazy Blade sect, then get out now. Hearing ZHU Zuan mention the Crazy Blade sect, everyone was terrified. A few days ago, the Mad Blade sect offended the Tatian sect for unknown reasons, and was completely wiped out by the Tatian sect. The leader of the Mad Blade sect died the most tragically, with his limbs cut off, and hanged in front of the Mad Blade sect's mountain gate. ZHU Zuan took out an ancient talisman, and tore it apart. Suddenly, the power of the ancient talisman merged into him. Everyone found that ZHU Zuan, who was originally at the peak of the Emperor realm, was suppressed to the peak of the King realm. This is an ancient talisman that can temporarily suppress the realm of others, an elder of the sect said in surprise. The ancient talisman was refined by the ancient gods who surpass the gods. It is extremely rare. Now one less is used. I didn't expect ZHU Zuan to have an ancient talisman on him. ZHU Zuan used the power of the ancient talisman to suppress his realm, and then led his masters into the ancient thunder god cave mansion. At the same time, he left 10 people to guard outside and ordered, if anyone comes out, let them leave everything on their bodies before leaving. Otherwise, kill without mercy. Everyone at the scene listened to ZHU Zuan's order and was angry again. Doesn't that mean that the people who went in before, if they want to come out now, even the treasures they had before will have to leave for ZHU Zuan? It's simply too much. However, everyone dared to be angry, but didn't dare to speak. Seeing ZHU Zuan enter the ancient thunder god cave mansion, everyone who originally held hope and wanted to try their luck in the cave, all dared not step forward. Chapter 185 I'll leave your body intact. After ZHU Zuan led his men into the thunder god cave, he said to his men behind him, you will form groups of 5 and search on your own. Remember, even if you overturn the cave, you must find the heavenly tribulation thunder water and the innate sword spirit for me. Whoever dares to snatch my heavenly tribulation thunder water and the innate sword spirit will be killed. Whoever it is must die. ZHU Zuan waved his hand and said, go. This cave was left by the ancient thunder god Li Wuxiang. He had checked Li Wuxiang's information, so he was sure that in addition to the heavenly tribulation thunder water, there was also the innate sword spirit in the cave. The men responded respectfully and bowed to leave. ZHU Zuan stepped into the depths of the cave. In his mind, the heavenly tribulation thunder water and the innate sword spirit in this cave were his things. At this time, Yangzai Ocean came to a palace. The gate of this palace was closed, but there were more than a dozen sect masters in front of the gate. Obviously, everyone was trying to find ways to open the gate of this palace. Generally speaking, there are treasures in such a palace with a closed gate. Yangzai Ocean's arrival caused a dozen people present to be stunned. Obviously, they didn't expect that a child would break into the Thunder God Cave Mansion. Yangzai Ocean ignored the strange looks of the crowd and his eyes fell on the palace gate. On the palace gate, a sword formation was engraved. If the sword formation could not be solved, no amount of force could open the palace gate. Yangzai Ocean urged the power of the 4 9-color sword hearts. In his eyes, the sword formation on the palace gate began to evolve. Seeing Yangzai Ocean's arrival, he stared at the palace gate without blinking. A master from the Wu family of the Wuxiang Empire laughed and said, "Could this little brat see something mysterious?" "What mysterious secrets can a little brat see?" A master from the Mu family of the Wuxiang Empire said with a joking smile. "I think he is staring at the carving on the gate. The carving is finely crafted and looks pretty." Everyone laughed. Since the ancient Thunder God Cave Mansion was born in the Wuxiang Empire, many of the people who came in now are masters of the Wuxiang Empire. The Wu family and the Mu family are both big families in the Wuxiang Empire, especially the Mu family, which has a deep relationship with the Wuxiang Empire's royal family. Yangzai Ocean glanced at the two of them coldly, then walked towards the palace gate. Seeing this, the Mu family master stretched out his hand to stop him, and said, "Little ghost, did you just stare at me?" Yangzai Ocean put his right arm on the other's arm, and then threw it, and saw that the Mu family master was thrown out, directly over the distant wall, and smashed outside the wall. There was a bang. Everyone was stunned for a moment. You know, the Mu family master is not weak. He is the 3rd level of the Martial King realm. He was thrown away by Yang Zai Ocean like throwing garbage. For a moment, everyone stood there stiffly. Yang Zai Ocean's footsteps did not stop, and he came to the front of the palace gate. Then, he raised his palm, and a group of sword energy appeared, and then printed it on the center of the sword formation on the gate. Suddenly, the sword formation on the gate burst into light. After a dazzling light, the gate opened. The masters present were stunned. It was no wonder that they were shocked. They had just spent a lot of effort to open the palace gate, but now Yang Zai Ocean opened it so easily. Yang Zai Ocean stepped into the palace. Just when the others were about to break into the palace gate suddenly closed, blocking everyone outside. No matter how they bombarded, they could not open it. "Don't worry, he is inside and can't escape. We will wait for him outside," the master of the Wu family said in a deep voice. So, these masters of the Washang Empire did not leave, but waited outside. After Yang Zai Ocean went in, he came to the hall. The hall was empty, with only 2 huge stone pillars. Just when Yang Zai Ocean was disappointed, the portraits on the stone pillars caught his attention. The portrait on the first stone pillar was a thunder god holding a thunder sword. The thunder god held the thunder sword and pointed it directly at the sky. Yang Zai Ocean came to the stone pillar and stared at the thunder sword in the hand of the thunder god. As he comprehended it, he felt the surging sword intent from the thunder god's sword. A sword intent that was destroying the heavens and earth and wanted to blast through the sky. Yang Zai Ocean's 4 sword hearts bloomed with 9 colored sword rays. The stone pillar glowed. Suddenly, a book flew out from the space inside the stone pillar and fell into Yang Zai Ocean's hands. Thunder in the 9 heavens. Yang Zai Ocean read. This is a sword formula called Thunder in the 9 heavens. It seems that it was created by the ancient thunder god. He flipped through it roughly and felt that this thunder in the 9 heavens was extremely mysterious. He didn't look at it carefully, put it away, and then came to the second stone pillar. This stone pillar has a picture of a giant sword. Looking at this giant sword, Yang Zai Ocean's heart moved. Could it be that the stone pillar is sealed with the thunder sword of the ancient thunder god? He began to comprehend the giant sword on the stone pillar. After a while, the stone pillar glowed, and the giant sword began to linger with sword energy. Something flew out of the space inside the stone pillar. When Yang Zai Ocean saw the flying object clearly, his eyes widened. Originally, he thought that the stone pillar sealed the sword of thunder god, but what flew out was actually a sword spirit with lightning all over its body. Innate sword spirit. Yang Zai Ocean was overjoyed after being surprised. And it was an innate sword spirit with thunder attribute. Judging from the surging sword spirit energy emitted by the innate sword spirit in front of him, it was undoubtedly stronger than the innate sword spirit of Black Snow Mountain. The innate sword spirit flew out from the space inside the stone pillar, turned into a sword light, and bombarded Yang Zai Ocean. Just as it was about to hit Yang Zai Ocean, the medicine cauldron emitted a ray of light, blocking the innate sword spirit. Yang Zai Ocean woke up and quickly used the sword control tactics taught by Ding Li to control the innate sword spirit. Afterwards, he operated the dragon beginning tactics to refine the innate sword spirit. Under Yang Zai Ocean's refining, the sword spirit energy of the innate sword spirit continued to merge into his sword skills. After a few days, the innate sword spirit had become the size of a fine needle, and Yang Zai Ocean's whole body was surging with sword energy, and the lightning was like the sea. After a while, when Yang Zai Ocean completely refined the innate sword spirit, suddenly, his whole body burst into sword energy, and the 9-color sword light on his chest illuminated the entire hall like daylight. After refining this thunder attribute innate sword spirit, Yang Zai Ocean finally condensed the 5th 9-color sword heart. Outside the hall, the masters of the Washang Empire had been waiting for several days. Seeing that Yang Zai Ocean had not come out yet, they had long been impatient. Many people left one after another, leaving only the previous Wu family master who was still guarding the place. Just when the Wu family master also lost his patience and was about to leave, suddenly, the palace gate slowly opened, and Yang Zai Ocean walked out. When the Wu family master saw the palace gate open and Yang Zai Ocean came out, he couldn't help but stop and smiled. "Boy, you finally came out. I finally didn't wait in vain these few days." He walked towards Yang Zai Ocean, and the aura of the late 10th level of the Martial King enveloped Yang Zai Ocean. "Hand over what you waited for in the hall." I will leave your body intact. Chapter 186. The Tatian sect has gone too far. Leave me with the whole body? Yang Xiaoshan looked at the Wu family expert indifferently, and suddenly, he opened his right hand, and countless sword ki burst out. There were so many sword ki that it reached 1,000 or 1,000 sword ki. The strength of the sword ki made the Wu family expert's face change drastically. He was so frightened that he just held up the heavy light and was pierced by 1,000 sword ki. Thousands of sword ki, all of which entered his neck and then penetrated out and hit the courtyard wall in the distance. On the courtyard wall made of fine granite in the distance, 1,000 densely packed sword holes appeared. The Heo family expert stood there, his whole body stiff, looking forward, his eyes full of astonishment. Then, where his neck was pierced by the sword ki, blood columns spurted out. These blood columns were not big, but densely packed, no more and no less, also 1,000. The blood formed a weird pattern on the surrounding ground. After a pause, the body of the Wu family expert fell to the ground, and the head rolled to the corner of the courtyard wall before stopping. This time, Yang Xiaoshan refined the innate sword spirit of thunder attribute, and once again cultivated the 3 perfect sword skills to the pinnacle. Just now, he used the pinnacle of the 1,000 swords of the sky. The 1,000 swords of the sky is one of the 10 great sword skills of Xiandao Academy. When cultivated to the pinnacle, the power is beyond Yang Xiaoshan's expectation. After killing the Wu family master, Yang Xiaoshan did not stay and left the palace. Refining the innate sword spirit delayed him for several days. He had to find the 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water as soon as possible. After leaving the palace, he continued to rush to the center of the cave. However, when Yang Xiaoshan came to the central palace of the cave, he saw a large group of masters fleeing in panic. The Tatian sect is going too far. What right does Zhu Zuan have to say that every blade of grass and every creature in the Thunder God Cave Mansion belongs to his Tatian sect? Also, he wants everyone who enters the Thunder God Cave Mansion to hand over everything they have to him. Damn it. What's the difference between his Tatian sect and bandits? With Zhu Zuan here, we can forget about the things in the Thunder God Cave Mansion. Let's leave quickly. Leave. Zhu Zuan said that his men are guarding outside the Thunder God Cave Mansion. Whoever wants to leave must hand over everything they have, otherwise they will be against the Tatian sect. Who dares to leave now? A large group of masters fled out in panic, all filled with righteous indignation and anger. Now, they want to leave but dare not. They want to stay in the cave but dare not. Damn it, a dog will jump over the wall when it's cornered. The worst that can happen is that we fight to the death with Zhu Zuan. Fight to the death. Don't forget how the Wild Blade Sect, Golden Hoof Valley, Wind God Sea, and Sword Master Mansion were destroyed by the Tatian sect. In recent years, how many super sects in the Empire have been destroyed by the Tatian sect? It doesn't matter if we die in the battle, but we will also implicate our families. Besides, before Zhu Zuan came in, he was already in the Supreme Emperor realm. Although he has suppressed his realm with ancient symbols now, his strength is still invincible in the cave. What can we use to fight him to the death? Yang Xiaoshan was stunned when he heard the angry discussions of this group of masters. Zhu Zuan of the Tatian sect? Looking at the large group of masters fleeing away, Yang Xiaoshan looked towards the center of the cave and stepped forward. At this time, in a palace courtyard not far ahead, Liu Hongmei glared at Zhu Zuan's 5 men. How dare you? I'm the princess of the Washan royal family, how dare you search me? One of Zhu Zuan's men laughed and said, the title of the Washan royal princess can scare others, but it can't scare us. Even the Kuangdao sect was destroyed by our Tatian sect. What are you, the Washan royal family? Our master has ordered that all of you must hand over everything on your body. Since you are unwilling to hand over the things on your body, we can only search it ourselves. Having said this, he walked towards Liu Hongmei. The other 4 surrounded her to prevent Liu Hongmei from escaping. Liu Hongmei's pretty face flushed with anger. At this time, Zhu Zuan's men grabbed Liu Hongmei's big chest. Liu Hongmei saw that the other party was grabbing her big chest and specifically grabbed the high place, and she was ashamed and angry and said, shameless. After that, she stabbed the other party with the long sword in her hand. Zhu Zuan's men laughed and said, "Shameless, your highness, you are wrong. We are all gentlemen, and our son is also a gentleman." He grabbed Liu Hongmui's sword, and then shook it, knocking the opponent's sword away. Liu Hongmui was also shocked and retreated again and again, her blood boiling. Although she was at the 10th level of the Martial King, she had just broken through the 10th level of the Martial King. How could she be the opponent? Zhu Zuan's men were all at the peak of the late 10th level of the Martial King, and each of them was extraordinary in combat power. After shaking Liu Hongmui's sword away, Zhu Zuan's men continued to grab Liu Hongmui, and this time, he increased his strength. He sneered. To be honest, he really had never grabbed any of the princesses of the imperial country. Today is a good time to try the feeling. I hope it feels good. Liu Hongmui was shocked and angry, and retreated again and again, but the opponent was too fast, and she couldn't dodge at all. Seeing that Zhu Zuan's men were about to grab her, suddenly, thousands of sword ki shot out. A piece of blood sprayed up. Zhu Zuan's men screamed and retreated. He looked in shock, and saw that his right palm had been blasted into a bloody mass. The sudden change in front of them shocked Liu Hongmui and the others. They turned their heads, and saw that a child had appeared in the yard. "Who are you?" "We are from the Tatian sect." Zhu Zuan's men covered their right hands, that had been blasted away, with an unbelievable look on their faces, and were shocked and angry. "You dare to go against our Tatian sect? You are dead." Yang Xiaoshan was too lazy to listen anymore, and opened his right palm directly, and suddenly, the 1,000 sword energies just now were ejected again. This time, the 1,000 sword energies did not blast one person, but spread out, covering 5 people at the same time like a spider web. Seeing this, Zhu Zuan's 5 men were shocked, and swung their long swords, to weave a lot of sword nets. However, the sword energy of the 1,000 swords of the sky directly blasted through the sword net, and then blasted through the heads, eyes, necks and internal organs of the 5 people. After Yang Xiaoshan struck, he did not stop, but continued to walk towards the center of the cave. After Yang Xiaoshan left, the 5 people fell to the ground with sword holes all over their bodies. They were unrecognizable. Even if Zhu Zuan arrived at this moment, he could not recognize the 5 people. It was not until the 5 people fell to the ground and blood flowed all over the ground that Liu Hongmui came back to her senses. She stared at the 5 corpses with incredible eyes. After Yang Xiaoshan left, not long after he walked, a strong power fluctuation came from the front. Obviously, there were people fighting in front, and more than 2 people. Zhu Zuan, you want to take all the heavenly tribulation, thunder, water and innate sword spirit here for yourself, dream. Someone said angrily. In this case, I will first kill you guys who don't know how to live or die, and then go out and destroy your beast god family. Chapter 187. Zhu Zuan is injured. Hearing the voice, Yang Xiaoshan could not help but speed up. At this time, in a large palace in the central area of the cave, Zhu Zuan, in white clothes, waved his palm. Suddenly, Buddha's light burst out, countless palm prints broke through the air, and the golden Buddha appeared. Golden Buddha palm. The 4 disciples of the beast god family were shocked. This was the strongest magical power of the golden Buddha temple thousands of years ago. Zhu Zuan actually cultivated to the pinnacle. They hurriedly displayed the strongest and unique skill of the beast god family, the heavenly beast fist. The fist force whistled, as if the beast roared. There was a loud rumble. But in the blink of an eye, the golden Buddha palm smashed the heavenly beast fist with a crushing force. The 4 disciples of the beast god family were pushed away and smashed hard on the stone pillars of the hall, vomiting blood. Zhu Zuan looked at the 4 people coldly, an ant trying to shake a tree. I thought you were so strong that you dared to challenge me, but it turns out that you are just an ant like them. On the ground, there were already more than a dozen corpses lying. These family masters were just killed by Zhu Zuan. Lao King of the beast god family had an ugly face. He didn't expect Zhu Zuan's strength to be so terrifying. The 4 of them were all at the peak of the late 10th level of the Martial King. Even with their combined strength, they couldn't block the opponent's palm. After Zhu Zuan finished speaking, he slapped out another palm. Lao King and the other 4 were slapped out again. After the 4 fell to the ground, they fainted. Although they were not dead yet, they were not far from death. Seeing this, ZHU Zuan did not make another move. He turned and walked towards the altar in the center of the hall, staring at the two thunder attribute innate sword spirits on the altar with a fanatical face. These two innate sword spirits are all top grade. The high quality and strong aura of the sword spirits made him ecstatic. With these two innate sword spirits, his two supreme sword techniques of the Xianzang will surely be cultivated to the pinnacle. In addition to the two innate sword spirits, there is also a small pool of heavenly tribulation thunder water on the altar. The thunder energy of the thunder water rises, the brilliance is prosperous, and there are all kinds of strange phenomena. This is definitely heavenly tribulation thunder water above the 4th level. Only the thunder water of the 4th level or above can produce various strange phenomena. Even though ZHU Zuan is a core disciple of the Xiantian sect and has swallowed many natural treasures, he can hardly suppress his excitement when he sees the Xiantian thunder water and two innate sword spirits in front of him. With these Xiantian thunder water and innate sword spirits, he will soon surpass the other 5 swords of the Xiantian sect and become the leader of the 6 swords of the Xiantian sect. Luo Crossing, I will definitely surpass you in the next sect trial. ZHU Zuan laughed wildly. Luo Crossing is the leader of the current 6 swords of the Xiantian sect. Over the years, Luo Crossing has always suppressed him in the sect trials of the Xiantian sect, which made him extremely unhappy. Now, he finally has the hope of surpassing Luo Crossing. Soon, ZHU Zuan came to the altar, just when he was about to use his magical powers to collect one of the innate sword spirits. Suddenly, outside the hall, a force broke through the air and blasted towards him. The airwave exploded. The strong power made ZHU Zuan's face change drastically. He didn't care to think too much and backhanded a golden Buddha palm. There was a loud bang. ZHU Zuan felt that he was shaken by an extremely powerful force and retreated repeatedly, crashing into the altar. He was shocked and looked over. When he saw that it was a child who walked in, he was shocked. The person who came was Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan walked into the hall, glanced at the situation in the hall, and finally his eyes fell on the innate sword spirit and the heavenly tribulation thunder water on the altar. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised and delighted. There are actually 3 innate sword spirits in this thunder god cave. In addition to the one he refined before, there are 2 more here, and they are all thunder attributes. The innate sword spirit of thunder attribute can not only enhance the power of his sword skills, but also temper his body and martial soul. ZHU Zuan shook his arm, that was numb from the shock, walked forward with a gloomy face. He stared at Yang Xiaoshan. Who are you? ZHU Zuan, right? Yang Xiaoshan said, I heard that every plant and every animal in this thunder god cave mansion belongs to your Tatian sect. ZHU Zuan's face turned cold. Since you know that I'm from the Tatian sect, then you should know what the consequences of offending my Tatian sect. Boy, I don't care who you are, no matter which super sect you come from, you'd better leave now, and I can spare your punishment. Otherwise, not only you, but also your family and your sect will suffer the disaster of extermination. Just like the Mad Blade sect and the Swordmaster Mansion. After ZHU Zuan finished speaking, his aura rose steadily, covering the entire hall. Yang Xiaoshan said calmly, you just want to punish others and destroy their sects. Do you really think that the Dragon Empire belongs to your Tatian sect now? You can punish anyone you want and destroy any one sect you want. ZHU Zuan said fiercely, the Dragon Empire will belong to my Tatian sect sooner or later. After saying that, he flashed and stabbed out with the evil sword in his hand. Although ZHU Zuan's realm was suppressed in this cave, his sword was still unparalleled. Almost as soon as he thought about it, ZHU Zuan's sword had already stabbed in front of Yang Xiaoshan's throat. If it were any other martial king at the peak of the 10th level, he would definitely be pierced by this sword. But unfortunately, he met Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan raised his hand and blocked ZHU Zuan's long sword. ZHU Zuan's long sword stabbed on Yang Xiaoshan's palm. It could not move forward even a little bit. ZHU Zuan was shocked. Even Luo Crossing could not take his sword with his bare hands. But now, he could not pierce the palm of the child in front of him. It couldn't even pierce the skin of the opponent's palm. What kind of skills did the opponent practice? How could his physical defense be so terrifying? At this time, Yang Xiaoshan urged the 1,000 swords of the sky, and as Zhu Zhuan was shocked, thousands of sword ki shot out. 1,000 swords of the sky. Zhu Zhuan was frightened and used his body skills to evade. Even so, his right arm was pierced by a sword ki from Yang Xiaoshan. Zhu Zhuan covered his right arm, looking embarrassed, and looked at Yang Xiaoshan in shock and anger. He finally knew who the child in front of him was. You are Yang Xiaoshan from Xiandao Academy. Fang Heng from the Imperial Pharmacist Hall was killed by Yang Xiaoshan from Xiandao Academy. Now Yang Xiaoshan is very famous in the empire. The Yulang sword appeared in Yang Xiaoshan's hand and walked towards Zhu Zhuan. Seeing the Yulang sword in Yang Xiaoshan's hand, Zhu Zhuan was shocked and retreated, shouting, Yang Xiaoshan, what do you want to do? My master is the great elder of the Tatian sect. If something happens to me, my master will definitely know. Then you and everyone who enters the cave will be buried with me. Yang Xiaoshan seemed to have heard nothing. His eyes were cold, and he swung the Yulang sword in his hand. Suddenly, a 1,000-foot dragon soul appeared in Zhu Zhuan's eyes. Looking at the violent dragon soul that was rushing over, Zhu Zhuan was terrified. Like a soaring crane, he rushed into the sky and fled out of the hall. However, Yang Xiaoshan had already expected the other party to escape and punched him. But just when Yang Xiaoshan's fist was about to hit the other party, suddenly, there was a flash of light, and Zhu Zhuan disappeared out of thin air. Disappeared? Yang Xiaoshan was startled and hurried out of the hall to search. Chapter 188 Kill Your Sister. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was anxiously searching for Zhu Zhuan's whereabouts, Yaoding said, don't look for him. He has an ancient symbol on him that can teleport. I'm afraid he is already thousands of miles away. Ancient symbol, teleportation. Yang Xiaoshan's heart sank, and he asked, Master Ding, do you have any way to track Zhu Zhuan's whereabouts? If Zhu Zhuan escaped, there would be endless troubles. Yaoding shook his head and said, if he is still in the Thunder God Cave Mansion, I still have a way, but now he is teleported thousands of miles away. I can't do anything, unless there is 9-layer Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water. 9-layer Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water again. Yang Xiaoshan smiled bitterly, knowing that he could not track Zhu Zhuan. Yang Xiaoshan had to give up, even though he was unwilling, and he returned to the altar. Looking at the innate sword spirit and heavenly tribulation thunder water in front of him, Yang Xiaoshan took a deep breath and suppressed his excitement. The heavenly tribulation thunder water in front of him had various anomalies, which was undoubtedly the 4th or more heavenly tribulation thunder water. However, he could not be sure of how many layers it was. These heavenly tribulation thunder waters are indeed above the 4th level, but unfortunately, they are only the 4th level. Yaoding sighed at this time. Only the 4th level. Yang Xiaoshan's eyes widened. Didn't King say that the heavenly tribulation thunder in the Thunder God Cave Mansion was most likely the 6th level? It was only the 4th level? Yang Xiaoshan was hit hard. If he had obtained the 4th level of heavenly tribulation thunder water in the past, he would have been extremely happy, but now, he urgently needed the 6th level of heavenly tribulation thunder water to help Yaoding help him subdue the ice flame Kirin. Especially now that Zhu Zhuan escaped, he needed to subdue the ice flame Kirin even more. Perhaps, there are other places in this Thunder God Cave Mansion, where there are 6th level of heavenly tribulation thunder waters. You can look for them again. Yaoding said. It also hoped that Yang Xiaoshan could find the 6th level of heavenly tribulation thunder water. Yang Xiaoshan nodded, and began to collect the 4th level of heavenly tribulation thunder water and the innate sword spirit in front of him. At this time, thousands of miles away from the Thunder God Cave Mansion, Zhu Zhuan fell from a high altitude to the ground, covered in dust, and his white robe was stained with blood. He covered his right arm, took out a pill, crushed it and sprinkled it on the wound. Thinking of being injured, and fleeing by Yang Xiaoshan, thinking of the 2 innate sword spirits and the heavenly thunder water that should have belonged to him, Zhu Zhuan's eyes turned red and roared, Yang Xiaoshan, if I don't kill you, I won't be called Zhu Zhuan. He joined the Tatian sect, and was one of the 6 swords of the Tatian sect. His master was the great elder of the Tatian sect. His status was so noble, but now he was made so embarrassed by a small freshman from Xiandao Academy. He almost died at the hands of Yang Ocean. Fortunately, he had the ancient talisman, otherwise he would have died at the hands of Yang Ocean. The more Zhu Zuan thought about it, the angrier he became, and the stronger his murderous intent became. Yang Ocean, right? You wait for me. I'll kill your parents first. Then kill your sister. Thinking of Yang Ocean's sister in the True Dragon sect, a vicious plan emerged in Zhu Zuan's mind. Yang Ocean, I'll see how you save your sister then. Zhu Zuan flew away, laughing wildly. 3 days passed. In the Thunder God Cave, Yang Ocean frowned as he looked at the palace gate in front of him. He had searched all other places in the cave, and now only the palace in front of him was left. However, he tried many methods to open the palace gate but couldn't. He had a hunch that, if there was sixfold heavenly tribulation thunder water, it should be inside this palace. Use the Thunder 9 Heavens you got to see, if you can open it. Yaoding suddenly said. Thunder 9 Heavens? Upon hearing this, Yang Ocean quickly took out the Thunder 9 Heavens sword art, and began to read it carefully. Previously, Yang Ocean had glanced through it, and felt that this Thunder 9 Heavens was extremely mysterious. Now that he read it carefully, he felt that Thunder 9 Heavens was profound and mysterious. When Yang Ocean finished reading it, his heart was in turmoil. Although he had not yet practiced this Thunder 9 Heavens, he was sure that it was not inferior to his Tongshan sword art. Lei Dong Jiu Shan, using thunder to transform into sword, practicing to the extreme. The thunder of the 9 heavens is all for me to use. The heaven and earth are all swords. With one sword, the continent rises and falls. This is Lei Dong Jiu Shan's last sentence. One sword can make a continent rise and fall. What a shocking and majestic power. You have to know how vast and boundless a continent is. Like the Kangshen continent where he is now, there are dozens of empires like the Shenlong Empire. As for the imperial kingdoms, there are countless sects. Even Yang Ocean can't imagine how big the Kangshen continent is. It is shocking that the power of one person can cover an imperial kingdom. It is incredible to cover an empire, not to mention that it can shake a continent. Although Yang Ocean thinks that the last sentence of Lei Dong Jiu Shan is exaggerated, it can also be seen that the power of Lei Dong Jiu Shan is terrifying. After a while, Yang Ocean continued to read Lei Dong Jiu Shan for the second time. After reading it carefully for the second time, he closed the book and recalled the sword moves and sword tactics of Lei Dong Jiu Shan. However, he was not in a hurry to practice, but continued to read it for the third time. After a while, Yang Ocean urged Lei Dong Jiu Shan and punched out. Thunderlight shone, and dozens of thunder swords sank into the palace gate in front. Suddenly, the palace gate was surging with light. Yang Ocean was delighted when he saw this. Previously, he used various methods to bombard the palace gate, but there was no reaction. Now, with Lei Dong Jiu Shan, the palace gate had such a reaction. It seems that Lei Dong Jiu Shan can really open this palace gate. However, soon, the palace gate returned to calm. Yang Ocean urged Lei Dong Jiu Shan's first move to attack again, and the palace gate was surging again, but as before, it soon returned to calm. Yang Ocean tried many times, but it was still the same. To really open it, you must practice Lei Dong Jiu Shan completely, Yaoding said. Yang Ocean was speechless. It was a false joy. The mysterious power of Thunder 9 Heavens is no less than the sword technique of Tongshan. How long will it take to practice it completely? Even if he is given 1 or 2 years, he may not be able to practice it completely. Yang Ocean was unwilling to bombard the palace again with Thunder 9 Heavens, but no matter how he bombarded, he could not open the palace gate. In the end, Yang Ocean had to give up. Anyway, only Thunder 9 Heavens could open the palace gate, and he was not worried that other people could open it. After walking around the Thunder God Cave Mansion again and finding nothing, Yang Ocean left the Thunder God Cave Mansion. After coming out of the Thunder God Cave Mansion, Zhu Zuan's men had already withdrawn. Yang Ocean returned to Xiandao Imperial City with the Black Dragon King and the Sky Blue Thunder Python. However, as soon as he entered Xiandao Imperial City, he heard people in the streets and alleys talking about the attack on his mansion. When Yang Ocean heard it, his face changed, and he rushed back with the Sky Blue Thunder Python. From a distance, he saw that his mansion was cut in half by the amazing sword energy. The walls of the mansion collapsed and were destroyed everywhere. Suddenly, the rage in his heart was uncontrollable. After landing, he rushed madly into the yard where his parents were. Chapter 189 Sixth Heavenly Tribulation Thunderwater Auction. Father, Mother. Yang Xiaoshan shouted with a trembling voice. His hands and feet were cold, like a child who was at a loss. He had lost his direction. He couldn't imagine how dark his future would be if something happened to his parents. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was panicking, a large group of people came out of the yard after hearing Yang Xiaoshan's voice. They were Yang Chao, Huang Ying, Wu Qi, Luo King and others. The moment Yang Xiaoshan saw Yang Chao and Huang Ying, he felt that the world had regained its brightness, and he rushed up. Father, Mother, you. Yang Xiaoshan choked. We are fine. Yang Chao also choked. He had never hugged Yang Xiaoshan before, but at this moment, he and Huang Ying hugged Yang Xiaoshan tightly. A family, hugging tightly. Just now, Yang Xiaoshan's hands and feet were cold, but now they finally warmed up. He tried hard to feel the warmth of home. After a long time, Yang Xiaoshan asked Wu Qi, Luo King and others what was going on. It was yesterday during the day. A group of people suddenly came. After breaking into the mansion, they killed everyone they saw without saying a word. Luo King said with a dry mouth. At that time, we, the owner and his wife were all out. Fortunately, they went out, otherwise, Yang Chao and Huang Ying might have been dead by now. Thinking of this, Luo King was scared. Wu Qi, Li Yuan, Liu Kun and others were all scared. They all knew the importance of Yang Chao and Huang Ying to their son. How many people died? Yang Xiaoshan took a deep breath and asked. Luo King lowered his head and said, more than 300 people died. More than 300 people. Yang Xiaoshan clenched his fists, his eyes full of murderous intent. In the past 2 years, he has used a lot of elixirs to train these slaves under his command, and there are only more than 1,000 people in total. Now more than 300 people have died at once. Who is the other party? What is their strength? Yang Xiaoshan said coldly. They all wear masks, and each of them is very strong. They should be in the martial emperor realm. Li Yuan hurriedly said, a total of 19 people. 19 martial emperors. Yang Xiaoshan's heart sank. Who is it? Was it Wang Zhao from the Imperial Medicine Hall? Or Zhu Zuan from the Tatian sect? Or has the Mahadivine sect already found out that Zhang Hao, Chen Lingyan and the other 6 died at his hands? Since the people who came were all martial emperors, they must have known that he and the Black Dragon King were not in the mansion, otherwise, they would not dare to die. Could it be Zhu Zuan? After all, Zhu Zuan knew that he was in the Thunder God Cave mansion. However, many family and sect masters also saw that he appeared in the Kushiling of the Wuxiang Empire. Use all means to find out for me. Find the person for me. I want to know who sent it. Yang Xiaoshan said to Luo King word by word. Understood. Don't worry, young master. Luo King nodded solemnly. Next, Yang Xiaoshan could only ask everyone to repair the mansion first. Looking at the mansion that was cut in half and destroyed beyond recognition, Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but get angry. At night. It was late at night. Yang Xiaoshan sat cross-legged on the cold jade bed and took out one of the innate sword spirits. He had not yet refined the 2 innate sword spirits he obtained in the Thunder God Cave mansion. Today, he planned to refine one of them first. The quality of these 2 innate sword spirits is very high, and they are both top grade like the Thunder Attribute one he refined before. Previously, he refined the Thunder Attribute innate sword spirit and cultivated the 1,000 swords of the sky, the sword of slaughter, and the immortal sword art to the pinnacle. In addition to the 10,000 phases sword technique and the heaven shaking sword technique, he has now cultivated 5 supreme magical powers to the pinnacle. As long as he cultivates 5 more supreme magical powers to the pinnacle, then when he condenses a golden elixir in the future, it will at least be a top grade golden elixir. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. In the past half month, Yang Xiaoshan has completely refined the 2 thunder attribute innate sword spirits. As he estimated, after refining the 2 sword spirits, he has cultivated 6 more supreme sword skills to the pinnacle. Including the previous 5, there are already 11. To condense the best golden elixir, at least 10 supreme magical powers must be reached, and he now has 11. After breaking through the peak of the 11 supreme magical powers, Yang Xiaoshan was somewhat relieved. As long as he finds 6 more best innate sword spirits, he will have the hope of condensing the strongest best golden elixir. After refining 2 best innate sword spirits, Yang Xiaoshan once again condensed 2 9-color sword hearts by comprehending the sword intent in the sword spirits. Now, he has 7 9-color sword hearts. 7. Yang Xiaoshan said. According to what Fan Rukwan said before, 7 sword hearts are rare in the world. If the Yaoi who was born with a sword heart and a 5-element sword body in Washiang Academy still has 5 sword hearts, then he has far surpassed that Yaoi now. However, although 7 sword hearts are rare in the world, Yang Xiaoshan's goal is more than 10. His goal is to be the only one in the world, not rare in the world. In the past half month, in addition to refining 2 sword spirits, Yang Xiaoshan mainly practiced Thunder Moving 9 Heavens. After half a month of hard training, Thunder 9 Heavens has already practiced to the 7th move. However, Thunder 9 Heavens has 49 moves, just like the Tangshan sword technique, and the more you practice, the harder it is to practice. It is impossible to practice in a short period of time. On this day, when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing the 8th move of Thunder 9 Heavens, he saw Luoking walk in with an extremely excited face. Sir, super good news. There is news about the 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunder Water. Then he added, this time it's true. The Imperial Snowfall Chamber of Commerce will hold an auction in the middle of next month to auction the 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunder Water. Yang Xiaoshan was very excited when he heard it. The Snowfall Chamber of Commerce will auction the 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunder Water. He knew that the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce was not only the largest chamber of commerce in the Shenlong Empire, but also one of the largest chambers of commerce in the surrounding empires, with branches in the surrounding empires. Yes, not only the 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunder Water is auctioned, but also the supreme magical powers of the ancient sects, and the top grade 9 Yang longevity pill. Luoking excitedly said more than a dozen rare treasures. Then is there an auction of innate refined iron? Yang Xiaoshan asked. Now, he has the 4th level of Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water, and he only needs the innate refined iron to repair the Heaven Burial Sword, which is the first among the heavenly swords. Luoking shook his head. There is no innate refined iron in this auction. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. In that case, he would look for innate refined iron later. Will the auction be held in the middle of next month? There is still a month left. By the way, young master, there is another important news. The Imperial Pharmacist Hall will hold the Imperial Pharmacist Competition. Luoking said again. The Imperial Pharmacist Competition. Yang Xiaoshan was very surprised. Yes. Luoking said. I heard that it was suddenly decided by the head of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. The rewards are extremely amazing. The first place will even be rewarded with the Flame of the Earth. The Flame of the Earth. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. The Flame of the Earth is the first ranked strange fire on the strange fire list, only below the divine fire. Yang Xiaoshan did not expect that the head of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall would be willing to use the Flame of the Earth as a reward. Some people also said that the head of the hall wanted to select a successor through this Imperial Pharmacist competition. Luoking said. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190. Guo Wei and the other two teamed up. Selecting a successor. Yang Xiaoshan breathed a sigh of relief. This is the successor to the Imperial Medicine Hall. He is second only to one person, and above millions of people. Now the news of the auction and the Imperial Pharmacist competition has spread like wildfire in the Empire. Luoking said excitedly, Sir, if you can inherit the Imperial Medicine Hall, why are you afraid of Wang Zhao? Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. It is not so easy to become the successor to the Imperial Medicine Hall. The power of the Imperial Medicine Hall is complicated, and the elders come from various forces. Even if Shi Yanping is the chief hall master of the Imperial Medicine Hall, he cannot designate who will be the successor to the Imperial Medicine Hall. However, since the Imperial Pharmacist competition rewards the Flame of the Earth, he can participate. If he can get the Flame of the Earth, plus the 9 Phoenix Golden Flame, he will have 2 of the top 10 Strange Fires. If he can gather the top 10 Strange Fires on the Strange Fire list, when refining medicine, the 10 Strange Fires will come out together. What a scene it will be. Have you found those people? Yang Xiaoshan then asked Luo King, referring to the group of martial emperors who attacked his mansion. Luo King shook his head. I have issued $1 million bounty and have approached Dark Dragon, but there is still no news. Those people seem to have disappeared. Dark Dragon is the largest organization that the Xiandao Empire uses to gather information. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. He also knew that it would not be easy to find those people and the people behind them, since the Imperial Pharmacist competition and the auction will be held next month. It was still early, so Yang Xiaoshan was not in a hurry to rush to the Empire. Instead, he came to the top floor of the Xiandao Academy's book pavilion and looked through other supreme magical powers of the Xiandao Academy. In addition to the swordsmanship supreme magical power of the Sword Tower, the Xiandao Academy also has more than 30 supreme magical powers in the book pavilion. Now, he has learned more than 60 supreme magical powers. If he practices all the more than 30 supreme magical powers in the Xiandao Academy's book pavilion, it will be exactly 100. Although it is said that in order to condense the strongest and best golden elixir, it is necessary to practice 30 supreme magical powers to the pinnacle, but if he practices more supreme magical powers, it will also help to condense the strongest and best golden elixir. The first book of supreme magical power that Yang Xiaoshan looked through was Xiandao Sword Technique. Soon, he finished reading Xiandao Sword Technique and couldn't help but sigh that Xiandao Sword Technique is indeed the strongest sword technique in Xiandao Academy, but unfortunately, without Xiandao Sword, it cannot exert its true power. After a few days, Yang Xiaoshan finally comprehended all the more than 30 supreme magical powers in the book pavilion. When Yang Xiaoshan walked out of the book pavilion, he saw Fan Ruquan waiting for him. When Fan Ruquan saw Yang Xiaoshan, he smiled warmly. It's out. He knew that Yang Xiaoshan had been looking through the supreme magical powers in the book pavilion these days, and took out a few books of supreme magical powers. These supreme magical powers are all obtained by chance in the past. Yang Xiaoshan wanted to refuse, but Fan Ruquan shook his head and said, for hundreds of years in Xiandao Academy, no one has ever been able to condense a top-grade golden elixir. I hope you can break this rule. Yang Xiaoshan finally accepted it. Fan Ruquan hesitated for a moment and said, I have been investigating the whereabouts of the Xiandao sword for these years, and I have found some clues. The Xiandao sword should be in the Tatian sect. Yang Xiaoshan was very surprised. In the Tatian sect? Fan Ruquan nodded. Several decades ago, the former president of our Xiandao Academy disappeared for no reason, and the Xiandao sword on him disappeared with him. However, I have found out from my investigations over the years that he has been killed. The murderer is Xian Chang, the second elder of the Tatian sect. At this point, Fan Ruquan smiled bitterly. Although he knew the murderer and had evidence, the murderer was Xian Chang, the second elder of the Tatian sect. Even if he had 10,000 guts, he would not dare to go to the Tatian sect to ask for the Xiandao sword. Xian Chang. Yang Xiaoshan read. This Xian Chang is not only the second elder of the Tatian sect, but also a master of our Imperial Xian family. By the way, he is Xian Meiling's fourth grandfather. Fan Ruquan said. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. Xian Meiling's fourth grandfather? After a moment of silence, Yang Xiaoshan said, don't worry, Vice President. I will take back the Xiandao sword from Xiandao Academy if I have the chance in the future. Fan Ruquan said gratefully, thank you. After Yang Xiaoshan and Fan Ruquan separated and were about to leave the academy, Jiuo Wei, Lin Xiao, and Xiao Yang walked over from a distance. Jiuo Wei looked at Yang Xiaoshan coldly. Yang Xiaoshan, the three of us want to fight you. Do you dare? Yang Xiaoshan glanced at the three of them and said indifferently, you three. Yes. Lin Xiao said in a deep voice, we are indeed not your opponents if we fight alone. If the three of us join forces, do you dare? Xiao Yang said coldly, if you lose, leave the Yulang sword. Yang Xiaoshan glanced at the three of them. What if you lose? Jiuo Wei said. If we lose, everything on us will be yours. Then he took a deep breath, including the Golden Emperor sword and the Behaith sword. Yang Xiaoshan smiled. Okay. So the four of them came to the square. Jiuo Wei, Lin Xiao, and Xiao Yang teamed up to fight Yang Xiaoshan. When the news spread, the teachers and students of Xiandao Academy were in an uproar and rushed to the square. In the center of the square, Yang Xiaoshan looked at Jiuo Wei and the other two indifferently. The three knew that he had an Emperor level Black Dragon King, but they still dared to challenge him. Obviously, there was someone behind them to support them. Is it the Fulong Sword Sect? He knew that Xiao Yang's uncle was the supreme elder of the Fulong Sword Sect. As one of the top 10 super sects in the empire, even an elder of the Fulong Sword Sect is a powerful existence in the empire, not to mention the supreme elder. At this time, the Golden Emperor sword and the Blue Sea sword appeared in Jiuo Wei's hands, and the sword light suddenly surged in his chest. It was 5 sword hearts. 5 sword hearts. Jiuo Wei actually condensed 5 sword hearts. Seeing that Jiuo Wei actually condensed the 5th sword heart, everyone was shocked. 7 sword hearts are rare in the world, and Jiuo Wei has condensed 5 sword hearts in just over 20 years old. This is definitely a shock to the empire. At this time, Lin Xiao suddenly recited a spell silently, and saw the void split open, and his Zuan beast walked out of it. The last time they fought, Zuan beast was at the late 8th level of Wu Wang, but now, it has reached the peak of the 10th level of Wu Wang. What surprised everyone was that after Zuan beast, a huge 3-eyed demon tiger walked out. It was also at the peak of the 10th level of Wu Wang. Lin Xiao actually controlled 2 beasts. Both are at the peak of the 10th level of Wu Wang. Seeing that Lin Xiao actually summoned 2 beasts at the same time, everyone was also shocked. Then, Xiao Yang's whole body was filled with starlight, and an extremely tall star god appeared in the sky, and an amazing divine power enveloped the world. At the same time, Xiao Yang used all his strength to activate the infinite power of the stars. When Xiao Yang activated the infinite power of the stars, the sun disappeared above the 9 heavens, and rays of starlight fell one after another. The star power was like the sea, forming a barrier around him. This is a star barrier. Only when you practice the star's Wu Qigong to the 10th level, can you condense a star barrier. Some knowledgeable teachers were shocked when they saw this and said, with this barrier, the power of the stars is inexhaustible and no one can break it. Everyone was shocked. No one can break it. Doesn't that mean Xiao Yang is invincible? Exclamation mark. Chapter 191 Jiuo Wei's head falls. Originally, everyone was not optimistic about Jiuo Wei, Lin Xiao, and Xiao Yang. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, everyone was not optimistic about the 3 of them, and felt that Yang Xiaoshan would still win. After all, Yang Xiaoshan had given everyone an invincible impression before. But now that everyone saw that Jiuo Wei had actually condensed the 5th sword heart, Lin Xiao had actually subdued 2 Martial King 10th level peak beasts, and Xiao Yang had practiced the star's Wu Qigong to the 10th level, they were all shaken. Their confidence in Yang Xiaoshan began to waver. This time, Yang Xiaoshan is afraid that he will lose. A first-year student shook his head. Afraid? I think he will definitely lose. Zhang Lei, a first-year student, sneered. Jiuo Wei has 5 sword hearts, and his strength has broken through to the middle stage of the 10th level of the Martial King. Lin Xiao's 2 beasts are comparable to the 1st level of the Martial Sect. Xiao Yang's star barrier, no one in the same realm can break it. If Yang Xiaoshan can still win, I'll fucking cut off my fingers. Zhang Lei said fiercely. Even Huang Yiking, the head teacher of Class 1, Grade 1, shook his head, obviously not optimistic about Yang Xiaoshan this time. Chen Jun, He Kings, and Qian Miling also came. He King sneered. In his opinion, Yang Xiaoshan was doomed this time. Of course, he knew that Jiuo Wei and the other 2 had already planned this alliance. The 3 not only wanted Yang Xiaoshan's Yulong sword, but also wanted Yang Xiaoshan's life. To be precise, it was the Fulong Sword sect behind the 3 who wanted Yang Xiaoshan's life. Tang Lin shook her head at Qian Miling and said, this Yang Xiaoshan is too careless. He dared to take this battle. With the current strength of Jiuo Wei and the other 2, He is definitely invincible under the Wuzang. Cheyenne Mealing nodded. I really didn't expect that Guowei would condense the fifth sword heart like Yaoi from Washang Academy. Tanglin said, Guowei is the reincarnation of an ancient god. It seems that he was also an extremely powerful god in ancient times. The power of Guowei and the other two continued to increase, like a huge wave, submerging the entire square. Yangzai Ocean stood in the center of the square, like a floating duckweed, and could be destroyed at any time. Guowei stood there, activating the ancient thunder god art, like the ancient invincible thunder god. Yangzai Ocean, this battle is a battle between the four of us. You can't use external forces. He meant Yangzai Ocean's Black Dragon King. Don't worry, I won't use the Black Dragon King. Yangzai Ocean said. He glanced at the three people. What other tricks do you have? Now use them all. Otherwise you will say that I didn't give you a chance. When Yangzai Ocean said this, everyone was stunned. Seeing that Yangzai Ocean still dared to despise them at this time, Guowei laughed angrily. Yangzai Ocean, I don't believe that you can condense the fourth 9-colored sword heart. At this point, the power of the 5 sword hearts was fully activated, and the Golden Emperor sword and the Jade Sea sword in his hands were swung out at the same time. Suddenly, the sword light shone through the sky, and the sword light was so strong that it almost blinded everyone's eyes. Almost at the same time, Lin Xiao and Xiao Yang attacked at the same time. Lin Xiao suddenly punched Yangzai Ocean. His whole body was covered with a golden and copper-like divine light. This is the divine light of the 1000-layered divine body. At this moment, Lin Xiao pushed the 1000 layers divine body to the extreme. Zhu Yan and the three-eyed demonic tiger beside Lin Xiao simultaneously attacked Yangzai Ocean. The claw marks of the two fierce beasts were like a hill, and they arrived above Yangzai Ocean's head in the blink of an eye. Xiao Yan was faster, and he punched out with both fists, leaving many after images. With Xiao Yang's fist force, the star power in the sky condensed into countless stars, like a meteorite, falling towards Yangzai Ocean. Everyone was shocked to see Guowei, Lin Xiao, and Xiao Yang attack together. Such a terrifying power, even many students in the martial arts realm present were terrified. So strong. Too strong. Even Tanglin was full of shock. She also came from the martial arts king realm, and she never thought that the power of the martial arts king realm could be so strong. Shorkill. Chen Jun, who had not spoken, looked at Guowei and the other two with the power of destroying the world, bombarding Yangzai Ocean, and said slowly, such power, no martial arts king realm can take it. Yangzai Ocean is going to lose. With such a blow, Yangzai Ocean will be seriously injured if not dead. Seeing the destructive power of Guowei and the other two, he kings, who was originally a little worried, was completely relieved. With such a blow, he didn't believe that Yangzai Ocean could take it. Just as Guowei said, he didn't believe that Yangzai Ocean condensed the fourth 9-color sword heart. Yangzai Ocean, die for us. Guowei roared, remembering the humiliation of being bombarded by Yangzai Ocean before, and frantically urged the ancient thunder god art and the ancient dragon god bloodline. A huge dragon god appeared behind him. The dragon roared. Yangzai Ocean stood there, feeling the destructive power of the three people, looking at the ferocious smiles on the faces of Guowei and the other two, and urged the dragon art. Suddenly, 1,000 true dragons flew out in the sky. When the 1,000 true dragons flew out, the surging infinite dragon power rushed into the sky like a tsunami, and the high sky originally covered by Xiao Yang's infinite star power was blasted open. Zhu Yan, the three-eyed demon tiger, who had hit Yangzai Ocean's head, felt that they were hit by a terrifying force. Their mountain-like bodies were actually shaken and retreated in midair. Yangzai Ocean's eyes shone, and the 4 sword hearts in his chest urged him to punch out with both fists. He had no magical powers, but only pure physical strength and the power of the 4 sword hearts. However, he brought out 2 huge fist force sword pillars. Wherever the fist force sword pillars passed, Guowei's sword energy collapsed, and his thunder force flew backwards. Lin Xiao's divine light exploded, and every corner of his armor was bursting. The starlight barrier around Xiao Yang was constantly torn apart, and the star god above his head was like a candle in the wind, shaking and about to go out. Guowei, Lin Xiao, and Xiao Yang were full of fear, infinite fear. The three of them, as well as Zhu Yan and the three-eyed demon tiger, were almost simultaneously plowed away by the fist force sword pillars. They kept sliding in the air. Then they smashed through the teaching building far away. They fell to the end of everyone's sight. The teaching building collapsed with a loud bang. The dust rolled endlessly. The vibration lasted for a long time. Everyone was shocked. Jiuo Wei, who had condensed 5 sword hearts, Lin Xiao, who had subdued 2 Martial King 10th level peak beasts, and Xiao Yang, who had cultivated the stars Wu Jigong to the 10th level, and possessed the starry boundary. The three of them joined forces. Defeated. Completely defeated. 4 9-colored sword hearts. In the dead silence, someone's voice trembled. Chen Jun, He King's, and Qian Meiling's muscles were shaking, looking at Yang Xiaoshan in horror. Yang Xiaoshan actually condensed a 4th 9-colored sword heart. What kind of monster is this Yang Xiaoshan? Within a year, he condensed 4 9-colored sword hearts. No, not a year, but half a year, and he condensed 4 9-colored sword hearts in half a year. If a few more years pass, how many 9-colored sword hearts will Yang Xiaoshan condense? 5, 6, or 7? The more everyone thought about it, the more terrified they became. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan stepped forward, picked up the Golden Emperor sword and the Jade Sea sword that had fallen to the ground, and came to Jiuo Wei. As if he had guessed what Yang Xiaoshan was going to do, He King's face changed and he shouted, "Stop! Jiuo Wei has been selected as a seed disciple by the Fulong Sword sect in advance." As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Xiaoshan swung the Golden Emperor sword and the Jade Sea sword at the same time. Jiuo Wei's head rolled off. Chapter 192. The master of the Tatian sect is here. He Kings and others were stunned when they saw Jiuo Wei's head falling. Jiuo Wei was a genius who had condensed 5 sword hearts and possessed the blood of the ancient dragon god. Yang Xiaoshan killed him just like that. Moreover, He Kings had just warned Yang Xiaoshan that Jiuo Wei had been selected as a seed disciple by the Fulong Sword sect in advance, but Yang Xiaoshan still killed him without hesitation. Looking at the wide eyes of Jiuo Wei's head, everyone was shocked. Jiuo Wei, known as one of the most talented geniuses in the history of Xiandao Academy, was even expected to break through the spirit realm in the future, but now, he died in front of them. He's crazy, Tang Lin murmured, referring to Yang Xiaoshan. Since Jiuo Wei had been selected as a seed disciple by the Fulong Sword sect in advance, it was conceivable that someone in the Fulong Sword sect's upper echelons must have been optimistic about Jiuo Wei. Now, Yang Xiaoshan killed him. This was simply a shocking thing. Yang Xiaoshan killed Jiuo Wei, expressionless, and walked towards Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang was frightened and terrified when he saw Yang Xiaoshan approaching with a sword in hand. Yang Xiaoshan, we are just sparring normally with you. You can't kill me, you can't kill me. He almost cried and begged at the end. His voice was a little unclear because of fear. Normal sparring? Yang Xiaoshan sneered. The three of them were clearly trying to kill him just now. Normal sparring? Just when Xiao Yang was about to speak, Yang Xiaoshan swung the Golden Emperor sword in his hand. Xiao Yang's head fell to the ground. Blood spurted from Xiao Yang's neck, very high, splashing all over Lin Xiao's face. Lin Xiao was almost suffocated by the heat of Xiao Yang's blood. When he saw Yang Xiaoshan approaching him with a sword in hand, Lin Xiao was terrified and wanted to struggle to get up, but he found that he had no strength in his body. He was born with a 1000-fold divine body, with infinite strength, able to move mountains and cut rivers, but at this time, he couldn't get up. Yang Xiaoshan, we are also instructed by others. Lin Xiao said tremblingly. Yang Xiaoshan swung the Jade Sea sword in his hand. Lin Xiao's head flew up. Maybe it was because of the strength, but when Lin Xiao's head was thrown up, it was higher than Jiuo Wei and Xiao Yang's. Seeing Jiuo Wei, Xiao Yang, and Lin Xiao being beheaded by Yang Xiaoshan one by one, everyone was so shocked that they couldn't speak. Even Zhang Lei, who had just said that Yang Xiaoshan would lose and threatened to cut off his fingers if Yang Xiaoshan won, was silent. Is this going to declare war on the Xiandao imperial family? A student murmured. Xiao Yang is the eldest prince of the Xiandao empire, and he is valued by his majesty Xiandao. Yang Xiaoshan cut off his head in public. Will the Xiandao Imperial family let it go? Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan chopped off the heads of Zhu Yan and the three-eyed demon tiger, took the things from Jiuo Wei and the other two, and then left. Watching Yang Xiaoshan leave, the square was silent, without a sound. I'm afraid Zhang Yun will cry to death. Tang Lin looked at Jiuo Wei's body with a complicated expression. The whole academy knew that Zhang Yun loved Jiuo Wei to the bone. He taught Jiuo Wei how to practice day and night, and even gave Jiuo Wei the blood of the real dragon that he had treasured for many years. He even took out the sword tablet from the death sword tomb for Jiuo Wei to comprehend. But now, Jiuo Wei died just a few days after condensing the fifth sword heart. As everyone guessed, when Zhang Yun learned that Jiuo Wei was beheaded, he felt his heart hit hard and couldn't sit steadily. The stools around him were knocked over by his butt. Zhang Yun suddenly roared. In his roar, there was murderous intent and hatred. The students who passed by Zhang Yun's yard were all scared to death by Zhang Yun's roar. Yang Xiaoshan. Zhang Yun roared, his eyes bloodshot, and he stabbed his claws into the stone pier next to him, smashing the stone pier into pieces, as if Yang Xiaoshan was that stone pier. After a long time, he suppressed the murderous intent in his heart and came to Zihang's yard. Fan Rikwen was there too. As soon as Zhang Yun arrived, he asked Zihang to expel Yang Xiaoshan. What? Expel Yang Xiaoshan? Zihang frowned when he heard it. Yes, Jiuo Wei and the other two are geniuses of our academy. They were competing with Yang Xiaoshan normally, but they were killed by Yang Xiaoshan. Yang Xiaoshan is a bloodthirsty guy and has been possessed by a demon. If he stays in the academy, I'm afraid he will attack other students again. Zhang Yun said coldly. Fan Rikwen said in a deep voice, possessed by the devil? Great Elder, you are exaggerating. As far as I know, Jiuo Wei and the other two wanted to join forces to kill Yang Xiaoshan in the name of competition, but they were killed by Yang Xiaoshan instead. Zhang Yun stared at Fan Rikwen with a sinister look on his face. Fan Rikwen, do you mean that Jiuo Wei and the other two deserve to die? At this point, he suddenly punched Fan Rikwen and shouted, Fan Rikwen, I think you are just like Yang Xiaoshan. You are already possessed by the devil. After Yang Xiaoshan left Xiandao Academy, he returned to the mansion and began to comprehend the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword. Jiuo Wei was dead, and the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword were ownerless. Yang Xiaoshan's comprehending went smoothly. By night, he had initially mastered the Golden Emperor Sword and the Jade Sea Sword. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. At this time, there were only 20 days left before the Imperial Pharmacist competition. Yang Xiaoshan, Wu Qi, Luo King and others set off and began to head to the Imperial capital. Considering that Yang Linga might also come to this Imperial Pharmacist competition, Yang Chao and Huang Ying also went to the Imperial capital with Yang Xiaoshan. Young master, I heard that Zhang Yun went to Zihang a few days ago and made a big scene, asking Zihang to expel you from Xiandao Academy. Luo King said on the way. Expel me? Yang Xiaoshan's face turned cold. Yes, Zhang Yun said that you have been possessed by a demon and asked Zihang to expel you. He even had a big fight with Vice President Fan for this. Luo King said, hesitating for a moment, and then said, I also found out that Zhang Yun and the masters of the Xiandao Imperial family went to the Fulong Sword sect. I'm afraid that the Fulong Sword sect will not let it go for Jiuo Wei. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. However, the Fulong Sword sect should not send the Saint Realm for Jiuo Wei. Of course, even if the Saint Realm really came, he would not be afraid. Nothing happened along the way. 10 days later, everyone finally arrived at the imperial capital of the Shenlong Empire. Looking at the majestic imperial capital, everyone was excited. Even Wu Qi, who always had no expression, was excited. The capital of the Dragon Empire is a sacred place for many people, representing the Supreme. In excitement, Yang Xiaoshan led everyone into the capital. As soon as he entered the capital, Yang Xiaoshan's first impression was grandeur. The streets were extremely wide, and the surrounding buildings were tall and magnificent, exuding the breath of ancient times. People in it were like ants. At a glance, there were powerful people from all sides, densely packed and flowing. It was busy and well organized. An extreme prosperity arose spontaneously. Everyone Get out of the way. It's the Xianzang. The masters of the Xianzang are here. Just as Yang Xiaoshan was looking at the capital in front of him, suddenly, there was a strong commotion among the crowd behind him. I saw a large group of masters riding on the beast gate from the imperial capital city. In this imperial pharmacist competition, masters from the 10 super sects of the empire, such as the Xianzang, have all come. This group of Xianzang masters is led by 2 young men, one of whom is Zhu Zuan. Chapter 193 Longxingshan. Zhu Zuan rode a huge white tiger. The white tiger was hairless. It was completely smooth. Zhu Zuan rode on it with great majesty. Walking side by side with him was none other than the blood sword Longxingshan, one of the 6 swordsmen of the Tatian sect. Zhu Zuan smiled to Longxingshan and said, "Junior brother Long has an outstanding talent for alchemy. He will definitely win first place in this imperial pharmacist competition." Longxingshan was the genius with the best alchemy talent among the younger generation of the Tatian sect. Hearing this, Longxingshan smiled and said, "I heard that even Gu Shaozang of the ancient god palace came to this imperial pharmacist competition. It will be difficult to win first place." However, despite saying this, he showed great confidence in his words. Gu Shaozang. Zhu Zuan's heart sank. The ancient god palace was one of the 10 super sects of the Dragon Empire, second only to the Tatian sect in terms of strength. And Gu Shaozang was considered to be the most talented disciple of the ancient god palace in tens of thousands of years. No one else. Gu Shaozang is not only a genius in martial arts, but also has an unparalleled talent in alchemy. His talent in alchemy is so high that even Shi Yangping, the chief of the Imperial Medicine Hall, is amazed. Gu Shaozang's talent is so strong that even Zhu Zuan, one of the 6 swords of the Tatian sect, has to be amazed. Just when Zhu Zuan was about to speak, he suddenly saw Yang Xiaoshan in the crowd in front of him. His eyes narrowed and his face looked ugly. Longxingshan noticed Zhu Zuan's strangeness and couldn't help but look in the direction of Zhu Zuan's eyes. His eyes fell on Yang Xiaoshan. "Brother Zhu, do you recognize this kid?" Zhu Zuan said in a deep voice. "Yang Xiaoshan." "Oh, Yang Xiaoshan." Longxingshan's eyes lit up when he heard it, and he looked up and down at Yang Xiaoshan. Fang Heng was extremely famous in the Shenlong Empire's pharmacist world, but he and Zheng Biao died at the hands of Yang Xiaoshan. A few months ago, when Longxingshan heard the news, he didn't believe his ears at all, and thought he had heard it wrong. Later, when he learned that Fang Heng and Zheng Biao really died in Xiandao Imperial City, Longxingshan became interested in Yang Xiaoshan and wanted to see if Yang Xiaoshan had 3 heads and 6 arms and could actually subdue an emperor-level dragon. He rode a black tiger to Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Are you Yang Xiaoshan? Did you kill Fang Heng and Zheng Biao?" Hearing Longxingshan's condescending tone, Yang Xiaoshan did not answer, but looked at Zhu Zuan. "Did you send those martial emperors?" Although he had not yet found out the martial emperors who attacked his mansion and the people behind them, Yang Xiaoshan had a hunch that it was Zhu Zuan. Zhu Zuan's face remained calm when he heard this, and he sneered, "What martial emperor? I don't know what you are talking about." Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan ignored him, Longxingshan's face darkened. "Yang Xiaoshan, don't think that you are great just because you have tamed an emperor beast. In front of our Tatian sect, an emperor beast is just a stronger insect. I know you have a good talent for alchemy and you also have the flame of stars, but it's just the flame of stars." At this point, he stretched out his hand, and a ball of purple flame flew out. "Purple Aluo Extreme Fire!" The crowd around exclaimed. Purple Aluo Extreme Fire is the 12th ranked strange fire on the strange fire list. Longxingshan looked at Yang Xiaoshan. "Your star flame is just garbage in front of my purple fire." Yang Xiaoshan's face was indifferent. "It's just purple fire. Your purple fire is also garbage in my eyes." When Longxingshan heard that Yang Xiaoshan, who possessed the star flame, actually said that his purple fire was garbage, he couldn't help but laugh angrily. "My purple fire is garbage. Yang Xiaoshan, you are also here to participate in the Imperial Pharmacist competition. Then, at the Imperial Pharmacist competition, let's see whose alien fire is garbage." After saying that, he and Zhu Zuan left with a group of men. When Zhu Zuan passed by Yang Xiaoshan, He glanced at Yang Xiaoshan with a wicked smile on his lips. Yang Xiaoshan, I saw your sister a few days ago. Your sister is very beautiful. Then he laughed and left. Just as Zhu Zuan was laughing and about to leave, Xiaojin said, laugh at your sister. Zhu Zuan almost slipped off the tiger's back. He turned his head angrily and stared at Xiaojin with murderous intent in his eyes. But in the end, he said nothing and left with Long Xingshan and others. After leaving, Long Xingkang's subordinate Long Yu said to Long Xingshan, this Yang Xiaoshan is a frog in the well, you don't have to argue with him. Long Xingshan nodded. Yang Xiaoshan comes from a small town in a small kingdom. He is ignorant and stupid. I will not argue with him. At this point, he sneered. I just didn't expect that he was so bold that he dared to come to participate in the Imperial Pharmacist competition. Yang Xiaoshan killed Fang Heng and Zheng Biao. Now Fang Zhao wanted to chop Yang Xiaoshan into meat pulp. Wait, Fang Zhao will definitely chop Yang Xiaoshan into meat pieces. Zhu Zuan smiled and said, does he think Fang Zhao dare not kill him in the Imperial capital? Even if he is in the Imperial capital, Fang Zhao can't do it. Once he leaves the Imperial capital, Yang Xiaoshan will definitely die. After Long Xingshan, Zhu Zuan and others left, Yang Xiaoshan led everyone to find a place to live. However, the major restaurants in the Imperial capital were already full. After searching for a long time, everyone still couldn't find a place to live. Yang Xiaoshan was helpless. It seems that they have to buy it directly. This time, they came with more than 20 people, and they couldn't just wander around the streets. So Yang Xiaoshan and the others came directly to the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce. However, when they heard the price of the Imperial Capital Mansion, everyone was shocked. Even Yang Xiaoshan was no exception. Hundreds of thousands of low-grade spirit stones. Yang Chao and Huan Ying stared. The mansion in Xiandao Imperial City was worth millions of gold, which was an astronomical figure for the two of them. Now the Imperial Capital Mansion actually costs hundreds of thousands of low-grade spirit stones. One low-grade spirit stone is 10,000 gold, and hundreds of thousands of low-grade spirit stones are more than 10 billion gold. More than 100 billion. What is the concept? If they are piled there, it is a mountain of gold. Their house in Xingyu City may not be able to accommodate more than 100 billion gold. The disciple of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce who introduced the mansion to Yang Xiaoshan was not surprised to see the reaction of Yang Xiaoshan and others. These days, many masters of some imperial countries have come to the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce to inquire about the price of the Imperial Capital Mansion. After knowing the price, they all reacted like this. Then they left in disgrace. Just when he thought that Yang Xiaoshan and the others would leave in disgrace, Yang Xiaoshan said, we have bought the Qinglang Mansion. Please help me with the formalities. He took out a space ring and handed it to the disciple of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce. The disciple of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce took the space ring and was stunned by the mountain of gold coins inside. These gold coins were exactly the gold mountain that Yang Xiaoshan got from the Xianlang treasure. Of course, they were part of it. Please wait a moment, sir. After a long time, the disciple of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce came back to his senses and said to Yang Xiaoshan excitedly, I will count the gold coins and handle the formalities for you. At this time, a manager of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce came over with a young man. This young man was Long Yu, a subordinate of Long Xingshan. After the manager of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce came in, he said to the disciple of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce with a happy face, Xiao Chen, this young master Long wants to buy the Qinglang Mansion. Please help him with the formalities. Chapter 194. Is this a provocation to him? The Chamber of Commerce disciple who was about to process the formalities for Yang Xiaoshan was stunned for a moment, then said to the steward, Sir, this young man has just booked Qinglang Mansion. Pointing at Yang Xiaoshan, I'm processing the formalities now. The steward was stunned. Qinglang Mansion is very expensive. This mansion has been on the market for several years and has never been sold. Unexpectedly, two people want to buy it today. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan with a suspicious face. This young man wants to buy it? Yes. The Chamber of Commerce disciple stood up and handed Yang Xiaoshan's space ring to the steward. I'm counting the gold coins now. Gold coins? The steward frowned when he heard it. Long Yu, a subordinate of Long Xingshan, looked at the huge pile of gold in the space ring, but sneered and said to Yang Xiaoshan, Yang Xiaoshan, this is your first time in the imperial capital, and you actually use gold coins to buy a mansion. Don't you know that the common currency of the imperial capital chamber of commerce is spirit stones? Then he said to the manager, the Qinglang mansion is what my son wants to buy. My son is the blood sword, one of the 6 swords of the stepping heaven sect. My son will live in the Qinglang mansion tonight. He took out a space ring and gave it to the manager of the chamber of commerce. When the manager of the chamber of commerce heard that the person behind Long Yu was the blood sword, one of the 6 swords of the stepping heaven sect, his face changed. He said to Yang Xiaoshan, my son, the common currency of our chamber of commerce is spirit stones, so the Qinglang mansion cannot be sold to you. When Yang Xiaoshan heard this, he asked the disciple of the chamber of commerce, your chamber of commerce can't buy and sell things with gold coins. Yang Xiaoshan still knew some of the regulations of the imperial chamber of commerce. Although spirit stones are generally used to buy and sell things, there is no regulation that gold coins cannot be used. After the chamber of commerce manager learned that the person behind Long Yu was the blood sword of the Tatian sect, he was obviously afraid of the other party's identity. However, the Tatian sect is now in full swing and has expanded greatly. It has the potential to suppress the Dragon Emperor's family. It is normal for him to be afraid. When the chamber of commerce disciple heard Yang Xiaoshan's question, he mumbled and couldn't answer for a while. He is new and is not familiar with the rules of the chamber of commerce. The chamber of commerce manager spoke. Long Yu smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, Yang Xiaoshan, I think you should take your gold coins and get out of the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce. To tell you the truth, gold coins are garbage in the imperial capital. No matter how many gold coins you have, they are still garbage. It's ridiculous. You hold a lot of garbage and still think you are rich. Long Yu spoke loudly, and his voice echoed in the hall. The masters of the major families in the hall all looked over. Also, I have inquired that this Qinglang mansion is the only mansion for sale in the imperial capital now, so it seems that you and your men will live on the street these days. Long Yu smiled. I forgot to tell you that the imperial capital is now driving away vagrants at night to maintain public order, so you won't be able to sleep on the street. Long Yu laughed arrogantly. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the chamber of commerce manager. In that case, if I can come up with the spirit stones, Qinglang mansion will be mine, right? The chamber of commerce manager hesitated for a moment and finally nodded. That's right. After all, Yang Xiaoshan came first. However, he didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan could come up with so many low-grade spirit stones. Long Yu sneered. He didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan could come up with so many low-grade spirit stones. Yang Xiaoshan rummaged in his arms for a while and took out more than a dozen spirit stones. When these dozen spirit stones were taken out, the hall suddenly lit up, and the spiritual energy was like the sea, rushing to everyone's breath. Top grade spirit stone. Everyone was surprised. The spirit stone in Yang Xiaoshan's hand was a top grade spirit stone. Previously, he killed Chen Lingayan, Zhang Heo and 6 others from the Maha Divine sect. As an elder of the holy realm of the Maha sect, Chen Lingayan's worth is naturally not low. There are hundreds of high-grade spirit stones in his space ring. One high-grade spirit stone is equal to 100 medium-grade spirit stones, which is equal to 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. 10 high-grade spirit stones are equal to 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. How can you have high-grade spirit stones? Long Yu exclaimed, with a look of disbelief on his face. High-grade spirit stones are extremely rare. Even if his son is one of the 6 swords of the Tatian sect, it is difficult for him to get a high-grade spirit stone. Yang Xiaoshan comes from a small family and a small academy. How can he have so many high-grade spirit stones? Ignoring Long Yu's fuss, Yang Xiaoshan said to the Chamber of Commerce manager, can we go through the formalities now? Before the Chamber of Commerce manager could speak, Long Yu angrily said to Yang Xiaoshan, Yang Xiaoshan, do you really want to go against our young master? Go against? Yang Xiaoshan said, you think too highly of your young master. Long Yu's face was grim. What Yang Xiaoshan meant was that his young master was not even worthy of being his hand. Okay, Yang Xiaoshan, I hope you don't regret it. Long Yu said harshly. Finally, the Chamber of Commerce manager went through the formalities for Yang Zai Ocean, and Long Yu left in disgrace. When he left, Long Yu's eyes seemed to be able to burn a piece of iron. While the Chamber of Commerce manager was going through the formalities for Yang Zai Ocean, Long Xingshan and ZHU Zuan were drinking at the Kinglian restaurant. The Kinglian restaurant was the best restaurant in the imperial capital, and a pot of wine cost 10,000 gold coins, which was not something that ordinary people could afford. Long Yu, I wonder if you have bought the Kinglian mansion. Long Xingshan drank a glass of fine wine and said. ZHU Zuan smiled and said, don't worry, Kinglian mansion has been on the market for several years and no one has bought it. Hundreds of thousands of low-grade spirit stones are not something that ordinary people can afford. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Long Yu walking into the restaurant with an ugly face. Long Xingshan saw Long Yu's expression and frowned. What's going on? It was Yang Zai Ocean. He took the lead and bought Kinglian mansion. Long Yu didn't dare to hide anything and told him what happened. Did Yang Zai Ocean really say that? Long Xingshan's eyes were full of anger. Long Yu lowered his head. Yes, he said that the young master is not worthy of being his opponent. Okay. Long Xingshan laughed angrily, his eyes gleaming coldly. Yang Zai Ocean, Long Xingshan, am not worthy of being your opponent. He crushed the wine pot to pieces. It's okay if you can't buy Kinglian mansion, you can buy other mansions. Long Xingshan suppressed his anger and said to Long Yu, they couldn't just sit in the restaurant like this. Long Yu didn't dare to look at Long Xingshan because of the recent Imperial Pharmacist competition. Except for Kinglian Mansion, all other mansions have been robbed. But now, even Kinglian Mansion has been bought. Long Xingshan's face was ugly. Do you mean, we have to sleep on the street tonight? Long Yu didn't dare to reply. But the answer was obvious. Yang Zai Ocean, you want to go against me, right? Wait until the pharmacist competition, and I will crush you to death. Long Xingshan said word by word. At this time, Wang Zhao also learned that Yang Zai Ocean came to the imperial capital. This kid, he actually dared to come to the imperial capital. Wang Zhao heard it, his eyes were full of murderous intent. Yang Zai Ocean killed Fang Heng and Zheng Biao, and dared to come to the imperial capital openly. Is this a provocation to him? Master, should we kill him now? Wu Yu asked. Chapter 195, Green Lotus Sword God. No need. Wang Zhao shook his head. It's hard to explain if we kill him in the imperial capital. After all, this is the imperial capital of the Shenlong Empire, and Yang Zai Ocean has an imperial dragon next to him. If he takes action, the impact will be too great. After the imperial pharmacist competition is over, he will leave the imperial capital sooner or later. It won't be too late to kill him then. After Yang Zai Ocean and others completed the formalities at the Chamber of Commerce, they brought the jade card of the Kinglian Mansion and came to the Kinglian Mansion. Looking at the very imposing Kinglian Mansion in front of them, everyone couldn't hide their amazement. Yang Zai Ocean used the jade card to open the Kinglian Mansion. When everyone walked into the Kinglian Mansion, a faint aura blew over their faces, and everyone was refreshed. The mansion in Xiandao Imperial City is very imposing, but compared with the Kinglian Mansion in front of them, it is more than one level lower. The Kinglian Mansion is very large. Yang Chao, Huang Ying and Yang Zai Ocean took a long time to walk around it. Looking at the Kinglian Mansion in front of them, which is like a fairy's mansion, Yang Chao and Huang Ying felt like they were in a dream. The two never thought that one day they would be able to live in a mansion as large as the capital. Think about it, more than 2 years ago, the two were still trying to raise money to buy a house in Xingyu City, and it was difficult to even come up with more than 1,000 gold. But now, they live in such a magnificent mansion in the imperial capital, with such rich spiritual energy and such magnificent decoration. The two were filled with emotion. So, Yang Zai Ocean and others stayed in Kinglian Mansion. That night, Yang Zai Ocean lit a big bonfire in the front yard, and more than 20 people sat together, drinking and eating meat. The aroma of meat filled the air. The aroma of wine was charming. Wookie took a sip of wine and smiled at Yang Zai Ocean. I wonder if you have ever drunk the Kinglian wine of Kinglian restaurant? Oh, Kinglian wine. Yang Zai Ocean was curious. Wookie nodded and smiled. Kinglian restaurant is the largest restaurant in our empire. Its Kinglian wine is known as the best wine in our empire, but the price is a bit expensive. Kinglian wine is divided into 4 grades according to different years. The 4th grade Kinglian wine is cheaper, selling for 10,000 gold per pot. The 3rd grade Kinglian wine sells for 50,000 gold per pot. The 2nd grade Kinglian wine is more expensive, costing 100,000 gold per pot. As for the 1st grade, it costs 1 million gold per pot. Yang Cheo clicked his tongue when he heard it. 1 million gold per pot. Wookie smiled and said, although it is 1 million gold per pot, it is still in short supply, and only 100 pots are sold every day. Once they are sold out, they will not be sold anymore. You can only come back the next day to buy. He said to Yang Xiaoshan. Kinglian restaurant has a great background. It was founded by Li Dan, the eldest disciple of Kinglian sword god. Kinglian sword god. Everyone was shocked. Kinglian sword god is the most legendary and powerful person in Kangshan continent. Yes. Wookie said. Speaking of which, this Kinglian sword god is also the registered disciple of Lord Hangfeng. Lord Hangfeng. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. Since he received the inheritance of Hangfeng Cave, this was the first time he heard someone mention Hangfeng. Wookie nodded and said, legend has it that when Kinglian sword god was young, he was fortunate to receive the guidance of Lord Hangfeng. Because of this, Kinglian sword god was able to cultivate into a generation of sword god. Master, is Lord Hangfeng the strongest in our Wuhan world? Liyuan asked with fear on his face. Wookie smiled, but did not answer the question. He said, in previous Imperial Pharmacist competitions, Kinglian Restaurant had disciples participating. This time, Kinglian Restaurant should also have people participating. Then he said, in the last Imperial Pharmacist competition, Li Jianghu of Kinglian Restaurant won the 2nd place. I just don't know who Kinglian Restaurant will send to participate this time. Li Jianghu. Yang Xiaoshan read. Yes, Li Jianghu is the grandson of senior Li Dan. Wookie said, this Li Jianghu has outstanding martial arts talent and alchemy talent, and is as famous as Fang Heng. Yang Xiaoshan nodded. Since Kinglian Sword God is Hangfeng's registered disciple, he is Kinglian Sword God's junior brother in terms of seniority. Li Dan, the founder of Kinglian Restaurant, is his nephew. Li Han, who called Kinglian Sword God Grandmaster. What should he be called? Everyone chatted until late at night before dispersing. Yang Xiaoshan stood in his yard, thinking about a lot of things. Nothing happened that night. The next day, when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing thunder moving 9 days, King Eluo came in to report to him the news he had heard. Young master, I heard that this time the Snowfall Chamber of Commerce will auction the 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunder Water and only accept high-grade spirit stones. Eluo King said. Can only high-grade spirit stones be used to bid for the 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunder Water? Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. Yes, the starting price is 10,000 high-grade spirit stones, and each bid must be no less than 100 high-grade spirit stones. Eluo King said this with mixed feelings. 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. What does that mean? For example, their current Kinglang mansion only has a dozen high-grade spirit stones. It is equivalent to nearly 1,000 Kinglang mansions. This is just the starting price of the 6-layer Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water. Yang Xiaoshan was also surprised. He didn't expect that the starting price would be 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. I'm afraid that ordinary super sects in the Empire can't afford 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. Only the top 10 super sects in the Empire, such as the Heaven Walking Sect, the Ancient God Palace, the True Dragon Sect, and the Fulong Sword Sect, have such strong financial resources. What about other things? Yang Xiaoshan asked. Other things don't require high-grade spirit stones, but low-grade spirit stones. Eluo King said. By the way, young master, this auction will also auction the Real Dragon Dragon Ball. Real Dragon Dragon Ball. This is a pleasant surprise. If the Sky Blue Thunder Python and the Black Flood King have the Real Dragon Dragon Ball, they will have the hope of returning to their ancestors. At that time, the blood of the Sky Blue Thunder Python can evolve into a super beast. The blood of the Black Dragon King can evolve into a divine beast. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan asked about the Imperial Pharmacist competition. All pharmacists below the rank of Martial Honor can participate in this Imperial Pharmacist competition. Luo King said, all the disciples of the 10 super sects in the empire will participate. The competition this time is extremely fierce. The most dazzling ones are Gu Shaozang of the Ancient Palace, Long Xingshan of the Stepping Heaven sect, Wu Chuang of the Matter sect, Lang Yi of the Fulong Sword sect, and Li Qian Qian of the Kinglian Restaurant. Lang Yi. Yang Xiaoshan didn't expect that Lang Yi of the Fulong Sword sect also participated in this imperial pharmacist competition. He will never forget the arrogant look of Jiu Wu and Lang Yi, the master and apprentice, who looked down on everyone from a high position when they were in the Divine Sword City. Yes, Lang Yi. Lang Yi has the Blue Lotus Fire, which ranks 10th on the different fire list. Luo King said. However, the one who is expected to win this time is not Lang Yi, but Gu Shaozang of the Ancient God Palace. This Gu Shaozang has the Burning Heaven Flame, which ranks 7th on the different fire list. Yang Xiaoshan frowned. Burning Heaven Flame. Yes, Gu Shaozang's talent in alchemy is so high that even the chief hall master Shi Yangping is amazed. Luo King said, I heard that he also got the Medicine God Canon. The Medicine God Canon is a legendary book on alchemy. The Medicine God Canon? Yang Xiaoshan read it and then asked, any news about my sister? Chapter 196, Meet Blue Clothes Again. I heard that the leader of the True Dragon Divine Sect has accepted the second young lady as a disciple. Luo King said, it's just strange that the True Dragon Divine Sect did not hold a ceremony to pay homage to the master. No ceremony to pay homage to the master? Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. Generally speaking, the leader of the True Dragon Divine Sect accepting a disciple is a major event for the sect, and a ceremony to pay homage to the master is held. Luo King hesitated for a moment, and then said, the leader of the True Dragon Divine Sect has a daughter named Hu Yu, who is 12 years old, but she doesn't seem to have a good relationship with the second young lady. Why? Yang Xiaoshan asked. It's not clear. Luo King shook his head. Ask more and find out clearly. Yang Xiaoshan said, it's about his sister, he wants to find out. Luo King agreed, bowed to Yang Xiaoshan, and then retreated. Yang Xiaoshan practiced Thundering Nine Heavens for a while, but he always felt restless and something was going to happen, and he couldn't calm down. So Yang Xiaoshan asked everyone to go out for a walk. When Xiaojin heard Yang Xiaoshan say that he wanted to go out for a walk, his eyes lit up immediately, and he almost drooled. Yang Xiaoshan smiled when he saw Xiaojin's expression. He knew that this guy must be thinking about the super lollipop in the imperial capital. Everyone left the yard and headed for the snack street in the imperial capital. Qinglang Mansion is close to the central area of the imperial capital, and it is convenient to go anywhere. The snack street is only 2 streets away. Just as Yang Xiaoshan and others were coming to the snack street, they saw a large group of people gathered in front of them, and it was very lively. And from time to time, there were exclamations. What's going on in front? It's so lively, Arjun said, standing on tiptoe and sticking his head out. Wookie smiled and said, it's the Kendo Roulette. Kendo Roulette. Everyone couldn't help but be curious. Wookie explained, this sword wheel is an ancient object, very magical. As long as you input sword energy or attack with a sword, it will rotate, and then something will fall out. Some sword masters input sword energy and a book of supreme sword skills will fall out. Some can even drop a heavenly sword. Yang Xiaoshan and everyone else were surprised. Did a heavenly sword fall out? Heavenly swords are hard to find, and it is so difficult to find a heavenly sword, but this sword wheel can actually drop a heavenly sword. Wookie said, it sounds absurd, but someone did get a heavenly sword from the sword wheel, and more than one person got it. More than 200 years ago, Kaiyuan, the great elder of the Xian sect, got the Demon Slayer sword. When everyone heard this, they were surprised. Demon Slayer sword. Even Yang Xiaoshan didn't expect that Zhu Zuan's master Kaiyuan got the Demon Slayer sword. The Demon Slayer sword is the second heavenly sword. It is the Demon Slayer sword. Wookie nodded and said, after obtaining the Demon Slayer sword, Kaiyuan practiced the Demon Slayer sword technique, and his swordsmanship made great progress, sweeping across the same realm. At this point, he changed the subject and said, however, since Kaiyuan, in the past 200 years, no one has obtained the heavenly sword from the sword wheel. Has anyone obtained the divine sword? Xiaojin suddenly asked. Wookie was stunned, then shook his head and said, no. Then he said, but some people have always thought that there may be a divine sword in the sword wheel, but no one has obtained it yet. Everyone was tempted to hear this. The sword wheel could drop a heavenly sword, and anyone would be tempted. Does it have to be a swordsmanship genius to get good things from the sword wheel? Lyokan asked. In theory, it is true, Wookie said, but there are exceptions to everything. There was once a disciple with mediocre cultivation, and who had never practiced swordsmanship, who obtained a book of swordsmanship magic from the sword wheel. Hearing Wookie say this, everyone was even more eager to try. However, this kendo roulette is not free to spin. You need to pay 10,000 gold to spin it once. Wookie said. 10,000 gold for one spin. Zyojin's eyes widened. 10,000 gold can buy a lot of candy. Wookie smiled and said, yes, pay 10,000 gold or a low-grade spirit stone. This is collected by the Shenlong Empire. If it is free, the queue every day will probably be outside the city. Although it costs 10,000 gold to spin the kendo roulette once, Yang Zyoshin still wants to give it a try. See what he can get from the kendo roulette. So, Yang Zyoshin led everyone to the crowd. There were a lot of people in the crowd, 10 circles inside, and 10 circles outside. Yang Zyoshin and his party finally squeezed in front of the kendo roulette. The kendo roulette was very large, floating there in the air, 2 people high, with hundreds of sword symbols engraved on it. These sword symbols exuded a mysterious atmosphere, and were arranged regularly on the roulette. There were a total of 10 sword patterns on the roulette, and these 10 sword patterns divided the kendo roulette into 10 areas. Wookie said to Yang Zyoshin, sir, this sword wheel has a total of 10 areas. The most central area is the first area, and the outermost area is the 10th area. The closer to the center area, the better the things that drop. In the past, the heavenly sword dropped from the third area. The heavenly sword dropped from the third area. What about the second and first areas? Lyokan couldn't help asking. Wookie shook his head. From ancient times to now, no one has been able to activate the second and first areas. Everyone was surprised. Yang Zyoshin stepped forward and paid 10,000 gold. Just when he was about to use the power of the 9-color sword heart to bombard the sword wheel, he heard a commotion in the crowd. The masters of the Fulong Sword Sect are here. Fulong Sword Sect. Yang Zyoshin and everyone looked over and saw that the dense crowd was pushed aside like water, and a group of masters wearing Fulong Sword Sect disciples' battle robes walked in. The Fulong Sword Sect's battle robes all had a pattern of killing a dragon on the chest. It was very conspicuous. The one walking in front was a young man with an imposing and arrogant look. It was the blue-clothed man that Yang Zyoshin had seen before. The blue-clothed man walked with a dragon-like gait and a proud and arrogant look. A strong aura emanated from him. Feeling the powerful aura of the blue-clothed man, the people around him could not help but retreat in shock. Get out of the way. Our senior brother Lan wants to turn the sword wheel. After entering, the disciples of the Fulong Sword Sect saw Yang Zyoshin, Yang Chao and others blocking the wheel, and could not help but scolded. After saying that, they were about to step forward to drive Yang Zyoshin, Yang Chao and others away. Our young master has already paid the money, so everything should be based on first come first served. Lyokan said. Upon hearing this, the Fulong Sword Sect disciple glanced at Yang Zyoshin and Lyokan, and sneered, you little kings, you paid the money, but couldn't get anything in return. It's just a waste of time. Then he scolded, hurry up and get out of our senior brother Lan's way. Lan Yi stretched out his hand, and stopped the Fulong Sword Sect disciple. He looked at Yang Zyoshin, still so arrogant. Yang Zyoshin, I didn't expect you to come to the imperial capital too. Seeing Lan Yi's same arrogant look as before, Yang Zyoshin said calmly, if you can come to the imperial capital, why can't I? Lan Yi was quite surprised when he heard this. He looked Yang Zyoshin up and down, and said with a smile, Yang Zyoshin, don't think that you have the confidence and qualifications to talk to me like this, just because you have an emperor beast. In my eyes, you are no different from before. You are still just a little ant. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Turning the Kendo Roulette. Xiaochin, Luo King and others were all furious when they heard this. Yang Xiaochin looked at Lan Yi and said, I'm a small ant in your eyes, and you are also an ant in my eyes. Yang Xiaochin, what did you say? When the Fulong Sword Sect disciples heard this, they all pointed at Yang Xiaochin angrily. Lan Yi was a direct disciple of their Fulong Sword Sect's ancestor Jiu Wu. With such an identity, Yang Xiaochin dared to say this about their senior brother Lan. Just when all the disciples of Fulong Sword Sect were furious, Lan Yi looked at Yang Xiaochin coldly. Just because there is an emperor level demon beast, it thinks it is qualified to challenge our Fulong Sword Sect. You really don't know how high the sky is, and how thick the earth is? Yang Xiaochin said calmly, whether I'm qualified or not, you don't need to worry about it, but you can't represent Fulong Sword Sect yet. Lan Yi snorted coldly and said, Yang Xiaochin, since you are also here, to spin the sword wheel, let's compete. Whoever loses will get out of the imperial capital, how about it? How to compete? Yang Xiaochin looked at the sword wheel and said. Lan Yi said, if I can activate the third area and you activate the fourth or fifth area, I win. Then he said, if we activate the same area, let's see whose stuff is better. Okay. Yang Xiaochin hesitated for a moment and responded. Seeing Yang Xiaochin agree, Lan Yi smiled coldly. He knew that Yang Xiaochin had a good talent for swordsmanship, and had condensed 4 9-color sword hearts, but he condensed 5 sword hearts. One more sword heart than Yang Xiaochin. Moreover, the sword heart he condensed was also one of the strongest sword hearts. Lan Yi took a few steps forward, came to the front of the kendo roulette, and said, I'll go first. Do you have any objection? Yang Xiaochin nodded and stepped aside. It didn't matter who went first or last, and he wanted to see how Lan Yi turned the kendo roulette, so that he would have a better idea when he made his move later. Everyone's eyes fell on Lan Yi. Under everyone's gaze, Lan Yi took out a sword that was completely dark. As soon as this sword appeared, the light around it suddenly dimmed. It was sunny just now, but all the sunlight suddenly disappeared, as if all the sunlight around was absorbed by the sword body of this sword. This sword seemed to come from the dark world. Sword of Darkness. Everyone was shocked when they saw the sword in Lan Yi's hand. The Sword of Darkness. This is the 10th heavenly sword on the heavenly sword list. Each of the top 10 heavenly swords is a threat to the world. Lan Yi actually got the Sword of Darkness. Yes, the Dark Sword. Lan Yi looked arrogant and proud. He touched the blade of the Dark Sword and said, half a year ago, I entered the Dark Abyss and survived a near-death experience. Finally, I got this sword. He looked at Yang Xiaochin and said, Yang Xiaochin, you didn't expect it. I have the Dark Sword. Turning the sword wheel is also closely related to the sword in his hand. At this point, he suddenly activated the power of the 5 sword hearts. The dark sword burst out with an astonishing dark light. I saw a dark sword column formed by dark lights, rising into the sky, alarming many masters in the imperial capital. In the imperial palace of the imperial capital, Longlan looked at the dark sword column in surprise. Dark sword. Then, he ordered his men to quickly check who got the Dark Sword. The Dark Sword is the first 10 heavenly swords. The Dark Sword's appearance is a big deal. At this time, Lan Yi activated the power of the 5 sword hearts, and darkness surged all over his body. 5 Ghost God Sword Hearts. Many masters in the crowd were shocked. The Ghost Sword Heart is one of the strongest sword hearts, just like the 9-color sword heart. Ghost Sword Heart? Yang Xiaochin looked normal. Lan Yi was able to subdue the Dark Sword, apparently with the help of the Ghost Sword Heart. If he enters the darkness and uses the power of darkness, the power of the Ghost Sword Heart will be even stronger. Just as everyone was surprised, Lan Yi held the Dark Sword and suddenly swung the sword at the Sword Deo Roulette. Heavy sword energy shot at the Sword Deo Roulette. In the sword energy, there was a sea of blood. Blood Sea Sword Technique. The Blood Sea Sword Technique is the supreme sword technique of the Blood Sea Sect. However, it was destroyed by the Fulong Sword Sect hundreds of years ago. Lan Yi's Blood Sea Sword Technique has reached the pinnacle. The Blood Sea Sword energy, carrying the rolling dark power, hit the Sword Deo Roulette. Boom. A dull sound rang out from the Sword Deo Roulette. Although the sound was not loud, it was still clearly heard by everyone. there was a sound. The last time Lord Kayuan hit the sword wheel, there was also a sound, and he got the demon slaying sword in the end. Everyone was surprised to see that Lan Yi had hit the sword wheel. Over the years, there have been very few people who have hit the sword wheel. Generally speaking, as long as one can hit the sword wheel, the things they get in the end are all very good. The last person who hit the sword wheel was Kayuan, the great elder of the Tarshan sect, and Kayuan got the demon slaying sword. The disciples of the Fulong sword sect were excited to see Lan Yi hit the sword wheel. Seeing your brother Lan hit the sword wheel, he will definitely get the heavenly sword like Lord Kayuan. Yes, maybe it's one of the 10 heavenly swords. It's no wonder that these disciples of the Fulong sword sect were so excited. No one has been able to get the heavenly sword from the sword wheel for more than 200 years. If Lan Yi can get the heavenly sword, it will definitely shock the Shenlong Empire. Lan Yi was also overjoyed to see that he had hit the sword wheel. With joy, he stared at the kendo roulette with expectation. Under the bombardment of the blue-clothed sword power, the kendo roulette began to rotate, and at the same time, the blue-clothed sword power bombarded into the 10th area of the roulette. Then, with an unstoppable speed, it broke through to the 9th area. In the blink of an eye, it had already bombarded into the 8th area. Everyone stared at the kendo roulette. The 7th area. The 6th area. The disciples of the Fulong sword sect watched the blue-clothed sword power rush into the 6th area at an astonishing speed, and they were all nervous and excited. At this speed, the blue-clothed sword power can rush into the 3rd area and activate the 3rd area. Soon, the blue-clothed sword power broke through the 5th area and entered the 4th area. When the blue-clothed sword power entered the 4th area, everyone held their breath, fearing to miss any moment. But, under the gaze of everyone, the blue-clothed sword power finally broke through the 4th area and entered the 3rd area. Finally, it stopped in the 3rd area. The 3rd area of the kendo roulette was surging with light. All the Fulong sword sect disciples cheered when they saw this. Brother Lan activated the 3rd area. The masters of other sects around were also very excited. After many years, someone finally activated the 3rd area of the sword roulette. And they witnessed this miracle with their own eyes. Wookie, Luo King and others were shocked when they saw Lan Yi activated the 3rd area. While Lan Yi and the Fulong sword sect disciples were excited, an object flew out from the 3rd area of the sword roulette. Chapter 198 Activating the 2nd area. Seeing what flew out of the sword Deo roulette, everyone was stunned. What flew out was not a heavenly sword, nor a sword manual. It was a piece of iron. A piece of black iron. Black abyss iron. Some of the surrounding refiners recognized the ironstone in front of them and were surprised. Black abyss iron is a main material for refining heavenly swords. The disciples of the Fulong sword sect stopped smiling, and the excitement on their faces disappeared. Lan Yi's face was even uglier. Although black abyss iron is the main material for refining heavenly swords, it is just a piece of iron, not a heavenly sword. Even the last ranked heavenly sword is hundreds of times better than it. Damn it. He couldn't help cursing in his heart. Like Kayuan, he struck the sword Deo roulette and activated the 3rd area, but Kayuan got the Demon Slayer sword, while he got a useless piece of black abyss iron. Holding the black abyss iron in his hand, he even had the urge to throw it away. He tried to suppress the anger in his heart and said to Yang Xiaoshan, Yang Xiaoshan, it's your turn now. Anyway, he activated the 3rd area. He didn't believe that Yang Xiaoshan could also activate the 3rd area. Yang Xiaoshan, I activated the 3rd area. If you can't activate the 3rd area, then you have to get out of the imperial capital now. Lan Yi was very upset after getting the black abyss iron. He stared at Yang Xiaoshan fiercely. Xiaojin heard this and licked a lollipop he had bought in Xiandao Imperial City before. Has anyone told you that the thing in your hand looks like a pile of poop? Poop. Lan Yi threw the black abyss iron in his hand out reflexively. Everyone laughed. Lan Yi was angry and stared at Xiaojin with murderous intent. Yang Xiaoshan didn't argue with the other party. He came to the sword wheel and took out a sword with a cracked blade. The disciple of Fulong sword sect saw Yang Xiaoshan taking out a broken sword and laughed. Yang Xiaoshan, you don't even have a sword. Come, I have a sword here. I just picked it up on the road. It's for you to use. The disciple of Fulong sword sect smiled. Lan Yi stared at the broken sword in Yang Xiaoshen's hand with a look of doubt. Heaven Burial Sword. Heaven Burial Sword. As soon as Lan Yi said this, the surroundings suddenly became quiet. Everyone was shocked. The broken sword in Yang Xiaoshen's hand turned out to be the Heaven Burial Sword, which was ranked first on the Heavenly Sword list and the top of the 10 Heavenly Swords. The Feeling Sword sect disciple hesitated and said, even if it is the Heaven Burial Sword, it is still a broken sword. However, no one responded to him. Even if the Heaven Burial Sword is broken, it is still the Heaven Burial Sword. It is still the #1 heavenly sword. Just like a former god, even if it is broken, it is still a god. How can those saints be compared? Yang Xiaoshen held the Heaven Burial Sword and urged the power of the 5 9-color sword hearts. Suddenly, 9-color light appeared all over his body, and the strongest power of the 9-color sword heart shocked everyone around. 5 9-color sword hearts. Lan Yi looked at Yang Xiaoshen in surprise. Yang Xiaoshen, like him, actually condensed 5 sword hearts. The disciples of the Feeling Sword sect were also shocked. Senior brother Lan is their Jiuwu Patriarch's direct disciple. He can condense 5 sword hearts, which is enough to look down on the younger generation of Feeling Sword sect. However, Yang Xiaoshen in front of him is just a student of a small academy in a small imperial country. He has also condensed 5 strongest sword hearts. Under the power of the 5 swords and 9-color sword hearts, the body of the Burial Heaven Sword finally glowed. At this moment, the Burial Heaven Sword seemed to have restored its former sword light. The sharpness of the sword light made everyone around feel chilled. But Yang Xiaoshen swung his sword. The peak of the Burial Heaven Sword technique was pushed to the extreme. One sword out. It seemed to bury the world. Under this sword, everyone felt as small as an ant. Boom. In the great shock of the sword wheel, a sound like thunder rang out. Everyone's eardrums were vibrated. Lan Yi was shocked. The sword wheel began to rotate, and the speed of rotation was obviously faster than that of Lan Yi just now. The sword power of Yang Xiaoshen's Heaven Burial Sword was unstoppable, breaking through again and again, and rushed to the 4th area in the blink of an eye. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshen's sword power had rushed to the 4th area so quickly, everyone's breath was tightened. But the 3rd area lit up, and the light was brighter than that of Lan Yi. Lan Yi and the Feeling Sword sect disciples were shocked. But it didn't stop yet. Yang Xiaoshen's sword power continued to advance into the 2nd area. The light in the 2nd area was shaking. The entire sword wheel burst out with a terrifying light, illuminating the surrounding streets like midnight day. 2nd area. The Feeling Sword sect disciples were stunned. In the incredible eyes of Lan Yi and others, an object flew out from the 2nd area. When this object flew out, the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth surged. Innate sword spirit. Someone in the crowd exclaimed. That's right, what flew out was an innate sword spirit, and it was an extremely high quality innate sword spirit. Yang Xiaoshen caught the flying top grade innate sword spirit. Besides being surprised, he felt a little regretful. What a pity, it has no attributes. Although the innate sword spirit in front of him was of top grade, it was still a little worse than the 3 innate sword spirits in the Thunder God Cave Mansion. After all, those 3 had thunder attributes, while the one in front of him had no attributes. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshen actually despised the top grade innate sword spirit in his hand for not having attributes, for a moment, thousands of horses trampled through the ground in their hearts. You lose. Yang Xiaoshen looked at Lan Yi. You can get out. Lan Yi's face was ugly, and he said, okay, I'm leaving. After that, he was going to leave with the disciples of Feeling Sword sect. I said get out. Yang Xiaoshen saw that Lan Yi wanted to leave like this, and said coldly. Lan Yi was angry. Yang Xiaoshen, don't be shameless. Just as Lan Yi finished speaking, the mountain-like Black Dragon King appeared behind Yang Xiaoshen. The Black Dragon King's huge tail swept over. Lan Yi's face changed drastically, and he wanted to hide, but he was in the Emperor realm. How could he hide from the attack of the Black Dragon King at the peak of the Emperor realm? Suddenly, he was hit by the tail of the Black Dragon King. The blue-clothed man rolled out like a ball, sticking to the ground of the street. As passers-by exclaimed and dodged, he rolled out of the gate of the imperial capital. The Feeling Sword sect disciples looked at the Black Dragon King with fear on their faces, and fled in panic. Ignoring the Fulong sword sect disciples, Yang Xiao turned to look at the sword roulette and asked Wookie, "Old Wu, is there anyone who can activate the sword roulette multiple times?" Wookie was stunned, knowing that Yang Xiao wanted to continue turning the sword roulette to see if he could get the second innate sword spirit. He smiled bitterly and said, "Sir, this sword roulette can only be turned once by anyone. With the same person's power, the sword roulette will not react again if it attacks for the second time." Yang Xiao was somewhat disappointed. Then, he paid the money and asked everyone to turn it, but no one got anything good. In the end, Yang Xiao had to leave the scene with everyone. He bought candy for Xiao and everyone strolled for a while before returning to Qinglang Mansion. Just when Yang Xiao returned to Qinglang Mansion, the news that Yang Xiao activated the second area of the sword roulette and obtained the best innate sword spirit had spread throughout the imperial capital. Gu Shaozong of the ancient god palace also learned the news. What? That Yang Xiao got the best innate sword spirit? He was overjoyed. These days, he has been searching for the innate sword spirit. The innate sword spirit is extremely important to him. Especially the best innate sword spirit. Yes, sir. Yang Xiao got a best innate sword spirit from the sword roulette. His subordinates answered respectfully, and he hesitated. But, sir, it is very difficult for you to get that best innate sword spirit from Yang Xiao. Chapter 199. Definitely win first place. Gu Shaozong nodded. He also knew that it would be difficult to get Yang Xiao to give up the top grade innate sword spirit. After all, it was a top grade innate sword spirit. However, everything has a price, and so does the top grade innate sword spirit. Gu Shaozong said confidently, "As long as the value of what I give is not less than the top grade innate sword spirit, I believe Yang Xiao will exchange it." A moment later, Gu Shaozong brought a group of his men to Yang Xiao's Qinglang Mansion. So, not long after Yang Xiao returned to Qinglang Mansion, Gu Shaozong also came to Qinglang Mansion with a group of his men. Gu Shaozong of the ancient palace is outside seeking an audience. Yang Xiao was about to refine the innate sword spirit when he heard Luo King come in to report. Yes, Luo King said, he brought a lot of people here. It seems that he has something to ask the young master. Bring them in. Yang Xiao thought for a while and said. As soon as he arrived at the hall, he saw Luo King bringing Gu Shaozong and his party in. Gu Shaozong was very handsome, with a very burly figure. He walked like the wind, giving people a sense of oppression. Gu Shaozong possesses the Kunpeng bloodline, one of the 10 ancient bloodlines. The Kunpeng bloodline is stronger than Jiuo Wen's ancient dragon god bloodline. The sense of oppression comes from his Kunpeng bloodline. Gu Shaozong was very polite when he saw Yang Xiao. He clasped his fists and exchanged a few words with Yang Xiao. After sitting down, he directly explained his purpose. "Oh, you want to exchange something for my innate sword spirit?" Yang Xiao said calmly after hearing the other party's intention. Gu Shaozong smiled and said, "Yes, I have been looking for the innate sword spirit for many days. The innate sword spirit is extremely important to me. I hope Brother Yang will give it up. If Brother Yang is willing to give it up, I will be very grateful. I know the best innate sword spirit treasures. I also have some treasures here. Brother Yang can take whichever one you like." At this point, he took out 3 things. The first thing was a giant egg. The second thing was a large piece of top grade spirit stone. The third thing was an ancient book. Gu Shaozong introduced. This giant egg is the egg of the ancient Kunpeng, and it was left by the ancient Kunpeng master. Then he pointed to the top grade spiritual stone that was 1 person tall and said, "This top grade spiritual stone has innate thunder energy, and there is only one in the entire Shenlong Empire. This ancient book is the Kunpeng technique created by the ancient Kunpeng master." Wookie, Luo King and others standing behind Yang Xiao were shocked when they heard Gu Shaozong's introduction. Each of the 3 things Gu Shaozong took out was enough to cause a shock to the empire. Kunpeng eggs are rare, and their precious treasures are no less than real dragon eggs, not to mention the Kunpeng eggs left by the ancient Kunpeng master. Once this Kunpeng egg is hatched, it may have the blood of the Kunpeng master, and when it grows up, it will be a super beast. As for the top grade spiritual stone, it goes without saying that a fist-sized top grade spiritual stone is a treasure for many super sects. A top grade spiritual stone as tall as a person with innate thunder energy is absolutely rare. The cunning technique created by the ancient cunning master is more precious than the previous two. Yang Xiaoshan saw the three things, but his face was normal and shook his head. Mr. Gu, these three things are treasures, but I don't need them. It is unknown how many years it will take to hatch the cunning egg. If you wait for cunning to grow up, it will probably take thousands of years. Although the top grade spiritual stone is a treasure, he has the blood dragon spirit vein. As for the cunning technique, he doesn't need it even more. His Shilongju is hundreds of times better than it. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan was not interested in the three things of Kunpeng's egg, Gu Shaozang gritted his teeth and took out the medicine god cannon. This is a medicine god cannon I got. I believe brother Yang also knows what the medicine god cannon is. The medicine god cannon can be said to be the most legendary medicine refining book in our empire's medicine world. It was created by the medicine god back then. He took a deep breath. This medicine god cannon condenses the life's hard work of the medicine god predecessor. It contains various medicine refining techniques and ancient alchemy methods. There are even 3 of the 10 major medicine refining techniques. If brother Yang is willing to give me that innate sword spirit, this medicine god cannon is yours. Yang Xiaoshan didn't expect that Gu Shaozang would be willing to exchange the medicine god cannon for his innate sword spirit. The medicine god cannon was created by the medicine god Sultan of the Shenlong Empire thousands of years ago. Sultan is also the only medicine god since the establishment of the Shenlong Empire. The medicine god cannon is a treasure that all pharmacists in the Shenlong Empire dream of. Just 3 of the 10 major alchemy techniques in the medicine god cannon are enough to drive all the pharmacists of the Dragon Empire crazy. But Yang Xiaoshan still shook his head. The medicine god cannon is indeed the most legendary alchemy book in our empire, but I don't need it. The alchemy book left in Hanfeng Cave is no worse than the medicine god cannon. He has obtained 5 of the 10 major alchemy techniques. He doesn't need the medicine god cannon at all. Seeing that Yang Xiaoshan still rejected him without thinking, he frowned. Although he was full of confidence, he hesitated for a moment and said, if brother Yang is willing to give me the innate sword spirit, I can give you these 4 treasures. Wookie and Luo King were surprised. I'm sorry. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head. I don't need these 4 things. I also need the innate sword spirit now, so I won't exchange them. Upon hearing this, a master behind Gu Shaozang said angrily, Yang Xiaoshan, don't go too far. My son has taken out these 4 treasures to exchange with you, which is already sincere enough. And my son is such a person. He came to visit you and talk to you in person, which is already giving you enough face. Gu Shaozang sat there and did not stop his men. Obviously, Yang Xiaoshan's repeated rejections had already made him very unhappy. Yang Xiaoshan glanced at Gu Shaozang and said calmly, in your eyes, the 4 things in the medicine god classic are treasures, but in my eyes, these 4 things are just garbage. When the masters behind Gu Shaozang heard this, they were all furious. Even Gu Shaozang's face sank. Yang Xiaoshan, what did you say? The master behind Gu Shaozang was furious. Gu Shaozang raised his hand to stop the people behind him. He looked at Yang Xiaoshan with a piercing look. I will definitely win the first place in this Imperial Pharmacist competition. Then, I will be the successor to the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Young Master Yang, do you really want to offend me for an innate sword spirit? Yang Xiaoshan looked at Gu Shaozang and smiled. You will definitely win the first place in this Imperial Pharmacist competition? Gu Shaozang said calmly, yes. His tone was full of strong self-confidence. Even Shi Yangping, the head of the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, admired his talent in refining medicine. He was confident that no one in the younger generation could compare to him when it came to refining medicine. He shook his head at Yang Xiaoshan and said, it would not be wise for young Master Yang to offend me now. When I inherit the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, I'm afraid you will have no place in the Imperial Pharmacist world. Chapter 200. Expel Yang Xiaoshan from his position as pharmacist. There is no place to stand in the Imperial Pharmacist world. Gu Shaozang's words were undoubtedly a naked threat. Behind Yang Xiaoshan, light surged and the Black Dragon King emerged. Feeling the Black Dragon King's aura as powerful as a prison, Gu Shaozang and others changed their faces. No. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the other party coldly. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan directly ordered to drive him away, Gu Shaozong's face sank. Yang Xiaoshan, you'd better think carefully. If I inherit the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Yang Xiaoshan immediately interrupted. Wait until you inherit the Imperial Pharmacist Hall. Gu Shaozong's face was ugly. He glanced at the Black Dragon King behind Yang Xiaoshan, suppressed his anger, and said, Yang Xiaoshan, I hope you don't regret it then. After speaking, he put away the medicine god cannon, Kunpeng's egg and the 4 items, and left with a group of his men. After Gu Shaozong left, Luo King said angrily, this Gu Shaozong really thinks that he can win the first place in this pharmacist competition 100%. Wu Qi did not speak. He knew that Luo King thought their son would win the first place in this imperial pharmacist competition, but thinking of Yang Xiaoshan's cultivation, Wu Qi sighed secretly. In this imperial pharmacist competition, the disciples of the major super sects who participated were almost all in the imperial realm, and Yang Xiaoshan was not even a martial master, and compared with Gu Shaozong, Zhu Zuan and others, his strength was too different. Even if Yang Xiaoshan had a very high talent for refining medicine, it would be difficult to win Gu Shaozong, Zhu Zuan and others. It was as difficult as ascending to heaven. From low to high, the elixir is the foundation building spirit liquid, the innate elixir, the treasure elixir, and above the treasure elixir is the mysterious elixir. Unless Yang Xiaoshan can refine the mysterious elixir, it is impossible to win Gu Shaozong and others. However, only those above the martial master can refine the mysterious elixir, and Yang Xiaoshan is not a martial master at all, so how could he refine the mysterious elixir? After Gu Shaozong left Qinglang Mansion with a group of his men, he thought of Yang Xiaoshan's repeated rejection of him, and drove him out, and his face became colder the more he thought about it. When I inherit the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, I will definitely expel Yang Xiaoshan from his pharmacist status. Gu Shaozong glanced at the Qinglang Mansion behind him and said harshly, once he inherits the Imperial Pharmacist Hall, he will have the right to expel any 3-star or less pharmacist in the empire. If Yang Xiaoshan's pharmacist status is expelled, it will be an extremely humiliating thing. When the news is reported back to the Divine Sea Kingdom, even the Divine Sea Kingdom will be ashamed, and Yang Xiaoshan himself will be ridiculed by others for the rest of his life. Sir, what about the innate sword spirit? His subordinates asked carefully. Gu Shaozong's face was gloomy and he said, ask about the others. He couldn't think about the one in Yang Xiaoshan's hand. After tonight, Yang Xiaoshan must have refined the innate sword spirit, and he couldn't rob it in the future. He could only inquire about other things. Use all means and all forces to find out the news of the innate sword spirit for me. Gu Shaozong said angrily, I will give you another 3 months. If I can't get the innate sword spirit again, you know the consequences. His subordinates responded obediently. After Gu Shaozong left, Yang Xiaoshan looked through the secrets of refining medicine in Hangfeng Cave Mansion in the yard. He remembered that he had read a book about refining medicine before, which said that it was possible to refine pills across realms. Today, he found the book and read it carefully again. Yang Xiaoshan finished reading it quickly. According to the book, if you want to refine Zuan level pills in the Wuang realm, you must meet 4 conditions. First, your true essence is extremely thick, comparable to the Wuzong realm. Second, you must have the top 10 strange fires. Third, your soul perception is far superior to that of the same realm. Fourth, you must master extremely advanced refining techniques and use to extremely advanced refining techniques to refine pills at the same time. These 4 conditions, no matter which one, are extremely demanding. If you want to meet all 4 conditions at the same time, I'm afraid that there will be few people who can do it in a million years. However, he practiced the beginning dragon art and kept swallowing the heavenly tribulation thunder water. His true essence is thick, surpassing many Wuzong first level or even second level masters. He has the top 10 strange fires. His soul perception has been growing over the past 2 years and is now stronger than many 4-star pharmacists. As for superb medicine refining techniques, he has no shortage of them. He has mastered 5 of the 10 major medicine refining techniques. The only thing he lacks now is how to use 2 medicine refining techniques to refine pills at the same time. He has always used one technique to refine pills, and has never tried to use two medicine refining techniques at the same time, because it is too difficult to use two medicine refining techniques. It is 10 times more difficult than using one technique. Now there are less than 10 days left before the pharmacist competition, and he has to hurry up to practice. In the next few days, Yang Xiaoshan mainly practiced using two techniques, to refine pills at the same time during the day, and refine the innate sword spirit at night. On this day, when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing refining pills, King came in to report that the masters of the True Dragon sect had arrived in the imperial capital. "Oh, who is here? Is my sister here?" Yang Xiaoshan asked quickly. The second young lady didn't come, but the True Dragon sect's ancestor Liang Yafei came, as well as his disciple Zhu Maomio. Zhu Maomio came to participate in this imperial pharmacist competition. King replied, Zhu Maomio is the best at refining medicine among the younger generation of the True Dragon sect. At this point, he hesitated for a moment, and then said, Zhu Maomio and Zhu Zuan are both from the Zhu family. Zhu Maomio is Zhu Zuan's cousin. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. These days, he also learned about the major forces in the empire. There are many powerful ancient families in the empire, such as the Long family, the Shan family, the Zhu family, the Zhang family, and the Gu family. These ancient families have complex forces. Among the 10 super sects in the empire, many disciples come from these ancient families. Just as King reported to Yang Xiaoshan, Zhu Zuan was sitting in Zhu Maomio's courtyard, and smiled at Zhu Maomio. "How is the matter I told you last time?" Zhu Maomio shook her head and said, Yang Linga is now the sect master's personal disciple. Her affairs are not something my master can decide. My master said that after the imperial pharmacist competition is over, he will discuss this matter with the ancestors. Zhu Zuan smiled and said, if this can be accomplished, my master and I will definitely thank my sister. If this can be accomplished, it will be a good thing for the True Dragon sect and the Stepping Heaven sect. Zhu Maomio said, no need to thank me. This matter is a good thing for the True Dragon sect and the Stepping Heaven sect, but it may not be a good thing for Yang Linga. But Yang Linga may not agree. Zhu Zuan said, not willing? Zhu Maomio sneered, this is a major event for the sect. If the ancestors and the sect master agree, how can she agree or not? She has to agree, even if she doesn't want to. As the imperial pharmacist competition approaches, various forces from the empire gather in the imperial capital, and the imperial capital is unusually prosperous. The night before the pharmacist competition, Yang Xiaoshan finally refined the top grade innate sword spirit. With the help of this innate sword spirit, he cultivated the 3 sword techniques to the pinnacle. Together with the previous 11, it is 14. It's just a pity that this time, the innate sword spirit was not successfully condensed into the 8th sword heart. Tomorrow is the pharmacist competition. Yang Xiaoshan did not practice anymore, and planned to take everyone to the Kinglian restaurant for a meal. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.